Mortgage One Studios with you, Russ Clark. Yeah, manning the mics. Quick disclaimer, all content presented by the Russ Clark Show, including statements made by guests, commentators, and callers, reflect the personal opinions of those individuals and is provided for informational and entertainment purposes only. These views do not represent the official position of Mortgage One Studios, its owners, employees, affiliates, or partners. Mortgage One Studios does not endorse, verify, or guarantee the accuracy, completeness, or reliability of any statements made by third parties during programming. Voting's underway. I know I've read some articles, read some emails of people that still haven't received or received them late yesterday, the mail-in ballots. You don't have to wait for that. Get downtown and vote. Hey, even if you applied for an early ballot, you can still just go in person and do it. You don't have to do the early ballot. Even if you apply for it and you have it sitting there, you don't have to. It's much, I don't know, I like it better. I'm not an early voting guy. And no, I haven't voted yet. I planned on it. But, those are plans versus reality. I've got a corporation commission calling in today. Some of the people running for the corporation commission. Let me see if I can find that real quick. That are going to be coming in. There's two Republicans running as a team. Nick Myers is one, and I think they're calling in together. At least that's the message. If I'm reading it right, they're going to call in together, and it's going to be. Well, I don't know what time. Okay, I'll have to double check that because I'm definitely calling Nick. I'm not. I'm not. He's not going to call me. I've been getting so many messages from people running for office. It's 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, and I'm going to be calling Nick Myers. But so many messages that it's getting hard for me to find my real messages. And Commissioner Kevin Thompson. They kind of run together, and good guys. We'll talk a little bit about what it is to be a corporation commissioner. Yeah, what they really do, other than raise rates for your electricity. Phone lines are open 928-941-0304. I'm going to do a better job keeping my eye on that. I think yesterday I missed about 4 calls before I realized I better put the phone where I can see it. Yes, I don't have an engineer. They trust me by myself. For those of you that go to the movies, Shrek. I liked it actually. We take you take the kids, but you enjoy it yourself and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of fun. Kind of a fun movie. I didn't realize how many of them there were. I have not seen them all. I've got to tell you that I haven't. I guess I don't take the grandkids. Shrek 5 is going to be released on June 30th, 2027. I didn't know it was up to 5. And then they're going to do a spinoff. They did the spinoffs already on Puss in Boots, that cat. And there was 2 of those. I thought there was only one, but Puss in Boots combined, just those 2, the adorable cat that stays adorable until it fights you. It was funny. It was good. Grossed $1 billion. Just those 2. And so for all the Shrek, what they call Shrek universe, all 6 movies, $4 billion. I mean, those are highly successful. So they're doing another spinoff on the donkey. I think it's one of the favorite characters. There's a lot of good characters. Eddie Murphy became the donkey. My daughter played the donkey in some stage production. I don't remember, but she was the donkey, which was nice. I think it suited her. But donkey's getting its own. It's going to be It's not going to be until June 30th of 2028. Eddie Murphy's been talking about it, that it's coming. That and Murphy's the donkey. Eddie Murphy. I always liked his movies, the Beverly Hills Cops and some of those stuff. But I don't think he does that much anymore. He does cartoons, maybe. I have no idea. Edward sent me a ton of articles today. I couldn't even get to all of them. I think he reads a lot. Edward does. He stays in touch. So he's my fact checker. And I was picking a few of them. I couldn't get to all of them. I couldn't. I'm going to try to see the rest of them this weekend, maybe for Monday. But there's a Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton. Now, we've all know of them. We've seen them. We've seen pictures. If you haven't gone to a museum and seen a Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton, it's one of the more fierce dinosaurs. It's a fun dinosaur. Yeah. There's a guy he's a rancher, Gary Gus Licking. He spent years, I guess, looking for bones on his 6,500 acre South Dakota property. And he dug around and he found a really preserved Tyrannosaurus Rex. They named it after him. The Rex's name is now called Gus. And it's 38 feet long, 12.5 feet tall. Of course, it's bone by bone. It wasn't a whole piece of the bones. 54-inch skull. And they say that it's 84% complete, which I guess is remarkably intact, remarkably good to find that many. They have 183 fossil elements for that dinosaur. Very rare, I guess. And it's going up for auction, so you got a chance, in case you need something for your living room, a knick-knack or something hanging around. It's expected to sell for $20 to $30 million. I had no idea. I didn't even know you could own a dinosaur, but apparently you can. If it's on your property, you dig it up, it's yours, or you can sell it. $20 to $30 million. Museums have that kind of money, and I guess that's where it ends up. Maybe it's a private collection. Somebody may buy that as a private collection. So you can own Gus. $20 to $30 million. That's an estimate, of course. Sotheby's auction. It's whatever the crowd decides it is at that point. But they get an idea about it based on history, what they think a dinosaur, Tyrannosaurus Rex, is worth. $20 to $30 million. Had no idea, but they would have. I would have bought some property and started digging. Now there's a place in Colorado called Dinosaur. Yeah, there's actually a place called Dinosaur, and it's named after all the fossil bones and stuff they find out there. I didn't realize it'd be that. I spend more time out at Dinosaur digging holes or something. I don't know if it's all private property or public. I don't have any idea. I don't remember, but it's named because I used to go there because there was a Napa store there back when I was working for Napa Corporate, and I'd go out there to visit the stores. Go out to Dinosaur. A woman fell down a mountain in Washington. Again, Edward showed me this, which I find interesting. She says she fell more than 100 feet. They think it was about 120 feet. She fell down. She must have slid down. Falling 100 feet. You may not be calling for rescue, but the U.S. Coast Guard helicopter had to go rescue her. It was on Mount Laramie, very near the Canadian border, so very, very far from here. She's 33 years old, hiker, obviously. And the south side of the mountain, she fell down. Injuries were serious, so maybe she fell. But 120 feet down is a lot. Maybe she slid part of it. Don't know. They sent a helicopter, an MH-65 Dolphin. Have no idea what that is, what it looks like. I'm not familiar with that model, but they looked for 40 minutes before they were running low on fuel. It was like, we're gonna have to go back and they located her, and there were members of her party that were screaming. I don't know how they hear that in a helicopter. I think you need it. No one has smoke signals. Do they carry that? I don't think so. You need something to attract um, the airplane. You should take off your underwear and put it on a stick and wave it around. That's what that pilot did in Iran. Remember, he had underwear that was an American flag underwear. So he put it on a stick and waved it around, and they found him. And that wasn't the pilot. That was the Gib, the guy in back, the navigator, weapons systems officer. He got rescued because of his underwear. Now he left the underwear behind, and the Iranians picked it up as a prize that they won. They got his underwear. They held it up and got their put it on Facebook or something. They went out on social media, which I still never bought a pair of that. There is I forget the name of it, but you see the video. It has the name of the underwear. I'm sure they sold a lot of it after that. But apparently this hiker didn't have flag underwear, and but they did find. And the voice they were screaming out says, "Come save my friend." And it was they heard a voice saying in a flash of green fabric. So they did have something green being waved as some kind of signal. They did see that, so probably helpful. Flown to airport in Seattle, Billingham Airport. Medical crew waited for her. And apparently she should be okay. Marshall Burnt, he's an aircraft commander, said the successful outcome is a direct result of the outstanding teamwork and rapid coordination between our agencies. Praised the woman's hiking group for the help. Equipped with advanced survival training and critical safety gear, the hiking party was uniquely prepared to serve as active partners during the rescue of their fellow hiker. Well, good for them. So, yeah, make sure you take some good guys with you. They're going to help you if something happens. They were at altitude of 7,861 feet. So who pays for the helicopter? Sometimes you'll get a bill for that, particularly the habitual guys that need them a lot. There have been bills sent to people for helicopter rescues. I know if you go to the Grand Canyon, I was told this by some of the people down there, the agents down there that are watching that whole thing. I asked them about the helicopter. They said, no, you can always get a helicopter, but they will bill you. Like if you can't walk out, you walk down into the Grand Canyon. It is a mile down. It's a mile from the top of the Grand Canyon down to the bottom. And some people have gone down there and they realize they're way over their head. They shouldn't have come down. I need some help getting out. What's it going to cost me? And apparently I rent a helicopter. It's always available. John McCain used to visit that quite a bit, the bottom of the Grand Canyon, and he would always come in by helicopter somehow. He didn't hike it, but he liked it. He did, from what I understand. I didn't. He never told me. I had others told me he was a guy that liked coming down, and they would always say, "Yeah, he came down by helicopter, though, not the donkey." And there are donkeys you can take down. Yeah, but he came down by helicopter. I would imagine it's more expensive, quite a bit, but good for her. Glad she was rescued. All that was good. I want to mention this trash can bandit. The Knicks fan that grabbed the trash can, and she's kind of, got her 15 minutes of fame right now because she took that trash can. The Knicks won the game. Big parade, and they had, I don't know how the city does this. I guess it's the city. They buy all these commemorative trash cans with the Knicks trash cans and put them out there. New York sanitation officials. Well, this lady decided to steal it. Angie Baez. She stole it, and she dumped all the trash on the ground, stole it with people yelling at her, and she was just kind of an arrogant attitude, like she didn't care. It's my trash can, I'm taking it. They found her because she was on social media. She blasted, and she got fines. $75 fine for littering, $100 fine for impeding Department of Sanitation operations. And she had to return the trash can. And she lost her job. Had an executive job at Morgan Chase, JP Morgan Chase. She was executive. She used to be a DEI executive. They changed it. They changed her job to Executive Director of Community and Industry Engagement for Card and Connected Commerce, which I guess is a DEI with a different name, probably. And that's happened in a lot of businesses. They get rid of the DEI names and they kind of stealthily do DEI type work, where giving people opportunity that shouldn't have it. She's one of them, probably. She's no longer employed. JP Morgan Chase has just made the comment, no longer employed. Some of the press has asked them, hey, why is she gone? What happened? Is there a reason? And the company spokesperson says this employee is no longer with the company. That's all they say. Good for them. That's well trained. You don't want to get yourself in trouble. You could say the wrong thing and get sued. That's terrible. When I worked for a genuine parts company, I was cautioned on that, and I was tested on it. Not intentionally tested; it was tested. But people will call you and ask about employees or whatever. They do background checks. They call you and say, well, how did this employee do? Is he a good employee? Is he a bad employee? And all that. And it could be a setup. I was naive to that before I started working there, but it could be a setup. And you could get somebody on the phone and tell the truth and say something about his habits that bugged you, or something that he came in late too many times, or he did something wrong or something like that. And you can get sued for that. I didn't know. I was warned. I was told. But then I did get a call one time, and they asked me a bunch of questions, and I was honest, but not anything that would get me sued or in trouble. And my boss talked to me a little bit about it later, because they called my boss and said, yeah, he was okay, but I think he should have done this better or something. And it wasn't any set up by the company. It was not the company did. It was somebody looking to help this guy out, and they were going to come after us. And he let me know that I passed that one, but I could even have done better by being less committal, less comments, say nothing. Isn't it a shame? It's a shame. So, and quite often I'm in the position where I hire people, particularly for corporate, and I would call employers of the past to ask a little bit about them. And quite often I got the runaround that they wouldn't say anything. And the way to answer that is to say, oh, I understand you can't say anything, but if you could say something, what would you say? Now, it sounds like it's a pretty obvious, somebody would chuckle and say, well, I already told you. But no, sometimes they say, oh, well, if I could say something, I would tell you he was a bad guy and then he came in late and had a bad attitude. I was amazed that shouldn't even work. It did, though. And I only wanted to know just to help me make hiring decisions. I wasn't looking to sue anybody. And maybe they figured that out. I have no idea. But it's dangerous. It's dangerous. So that the JP Morgan Chase, they're well trained. They're not going to get tricked by that. I don't think there's somebody that would get tricked. But that lady lost her job. She lost her trash can. She had to pay fines. She got shamed on the whole video, and she looked terrible doing it. In fact, she was dressed, I think, as in some Knicks gear or something, but she looked terrible. In fact, it was pointed out, I think, by Kat on Gutfield that she looked like a sanitation worker in what she was wearing. She could have just picked up the garbage can and walked off with it full, and they thought she would empty it and probably could have got away with it, but she dumped it on the ground ridiculously. They asked the sanitation department what it cost to do the cleanup. Because this lady dumped a whole garbage can on the ground, full of bottles and papers and all kinds of stuff. She says, we do not have a cost estimate, but note that the trash you see in the video is a tiny amount in the comparison of the 75,260 pounds of confetti and litter we collected, which is hilarious. So I guess it was an insignificant compared to what they're already doing. The department says we have 23,000 litter baskets on the street citywide. And you never know where one of these may pop up. But fans interested in a Knicks-themed basketball can purchase a smaller version online. So you can go online with the department there in New York City Sanitation Department and buy a Knicks-themed garbage can if you want a smaller one. I have no idea. And why would the city spend so much money just getting Nick themed garbage cans out there? I mean, that seems like a lot. And 23,000 litter basket. I can't imagine the money that goes into that. I mean, I don't know how many people live in New York. Was it like 8 million or something? It's a lot of people. But I know the budgets are big. But to say, yeah, Knicks are going to be playing in the playoffs, so let's buy a bunch of expensive garbage cans. And maybe they have to buy them anyway. They just put them in. Made them Knicks. I have no idea. It was just kind of ridiculous. With 4th of July coming up, and I want to do a few stories. Edward sent me this one. I talk about pets a little bit on the 4th of July because pets are a problem, or pets have a problem with the 4th of July, and that a lot of them can panic. They get really stressed out. And this is an article that gives some percentages on the amount of dog. It's done by something, I forget the organization's name. It's Life 360, and I guess they do pet GPS and other things that could help you retrieve a dog. You can put a GPS on your dog and find it, which I don't have to worry about that with Lexi. Lexi, my dog, she doesn't run away. In fact, at times she accidentally gets locked out. I'll be bringing in groceries or something, and I don't realize she ran out in the front yard. I don't even pay attention because the dog always comes home. And later she'll be at the front door whining and barking to get in. You know, like I know where the food's kept. Let me in there. She's never run. I don't even put a leash on her normally. I just walk around with her. She stays with me. It made Helen nervous at first when we would walk out on the river, the canal banks and stuff. And I don't leash the dog, and it just runs. It runs ahead, runs behind, runs around, and she keeps looking to make sure she's not going to run away. I said, that dog won't run away. She loves me. I don't think that's true. I think it's food, but she always stays close by. But that's not the case with a lot of pets. And I read that in Today, and this Life 360 has analyzed internal data from over 6 million pet profiles, which they have an app, I guess, for GPS, pet GPS tracking devices and stuff like that. And the network leverages the app's 100 million monthly active users against qualitative insights from 1,000 surveys on U.S. dog parents. Dog parents. And 26% of runaway pets are actually repeat escapees, which would not be Lexi. She doesn't want to go. For a significant portion of the dogs, one escape attempt is rarely the last. And middle child dogs, which is neither the youngest nor the oldest, but, in the litter in the middle there, 48% higher likelihood of running away. Interesting statistic. Metro areas, Los Angeles, Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, Atlanta, Chicago, top the list for cities that have the most escaped pets. And escaped pets runaways usually occur between 3 and 6 p.m. I don't know why. Is that when people are coming off of work, they're coming home from school? I don't know. But 3 to 6 p.m. is a normal, most common. And there's breeds that most likely to run. Dobermans, Huskies, Chihuahuas, and pit bulls. They get the most pet alerts from those guys on Life 360. Retrievers, Pomeranians, Border Collies, Boxers, least to run away. I'm not going to do it. So you know which one to buy if you want one that stays at home. Half of the surveyed parents of these dogs are worried about the fireworks. And the dog could run away during fireworks. They get stressed, which is a lot higher than I would have thought. And 50% reported that there's a high anxiety about them. Now, I've seen a lot of that, not from my dog. My dog is not stressed. It lives with me. Fireworks are the least of its problems. If their dogs go missing during a chaotic event, 65% say they would be highly stressed, including 35% who admit they would go straight into panic mode. Yet only 37% are very confident they could effectively recall their dog if they escaped during fireworks. Now, as far as a changing of habits once you buy a dog, and I would not have known this, but many parents of dogs, I say parents, it's dog owners. I say they keep saying parents. They they build their life around their dog. In fact, half of them, 51% of the pet owners, will chose to stay at home with their dogs for for Fourth of July. No barbecues, no fireworks, none of that. 51% are going to stay home because the dogs. They don't want the dog to suffer. They know the dog gets upset. Well, I think you're a helicopter dog owner. Lexi doesn't get upset because I don't get upset. 40% of pets owners say they've skipped a holiday gathering. Yeah, the let me see, and they've got a Life 360 app, and they found that more Americans are making lifestyle decisions around their pets, how they spend their time, how they celebrate major milestones. Consistent company of modern pets is driving a new kind of codependency, which it sounds like reverse separation anxiety. The report found that pet owners check on their animals with that app, the 360 app, slightly more often than their human children. So they will check on Fido, but not Junior. Interesting. 15 times per month versus children 13 times a month, respectively. That is interesting. Life 360 partnered with the Puppy Academy and expert trainers, which I think is smart. And they've gained popularity on social media for helping thousands of pet owners through puppyhood with online in-person support from their California facility. Bethany Wilson, the company's program director, master trainer, shared her tips for reducing stress, preventing runaway situations, and helping dogs feel safe when fireworks hit the sky. And I think that's the key. There's a lot of dogs out there, police dogs and everything else. They don't run away when there's gunshots because they're trained. They're trained. I used to work with a guy that take me hunting. He had a bird dog. Now, you started shooting a shotgun around that bird dog. That dog got excited, but not because it was scared. It was like, where's the bird? I got work to do. Unfortunately, I was the one hunting, and it drove the dog crazy because there was no birds. I was a bad shot early on. Now, this Bethany Wilson recommends practicing a familiar training routine while playing firework sounds, which makes perfect sense. I mean, I'm telling you, my dog doesn't get stressed, but I've never hid from her the fireworks. I've never felt sorry for her. I never checked if she was okay. In fact, I hear fireworks. I run outside to see where they are. She'd run with me and try to figure out what direction they were coming from, not hide under the bed. But then as you do the sounds, increase the volume slowly, intensity over time, and help the dog become familiarity with the sounds. And I think it's like parenting kids a little bit. But if you act scared and nervous and upset, the dog is going to absorb that, and it's going to be the same. If you're excited and can't wait to see him, the dog's going to go out with you and take a look at the fireworks. When dogs hear fireworks, their first reaction is often heightened alertness. From there, many begin practicing barking, whining, looking for a place to hide. Wilson recommends intervening early with a simple redirection technique, whether that's asking for a known behavior like tossing a treat, a scavenger game, engage your dog familiar activity, taking a walk, a training lesson, anything. Which I think is what I did when she was a pup. Yeah, we just played like everything was normal. But then if your dog is upset, place that's comfortable, crate for those that are crate trained, or a favorite couch and all that. That makes sense. And then help them decompress after the noise ends. I don't know if I've done that. And that's where you continue to favorite toy and training sessions and stuff to get them to settle down and all that. The GPS tracking ranked as far as one of the number one tech tools as reunification tool. Of course it is. It's 90% express confidence in it. 54% saying the tracker is the tool they trust the most if their dogs runs away. Of course, you'll be able to see where they are. Of course, all you have to do is go find them. Drive down the road. Internal data shows it takes an average of 37 minutes for a lost pet to reunite with its owner once it wears a Life 360 pet GPS tracker. Sounds like an advertisement. I think it's a realistic, good article. Sounds like they got 6 million, 6 million animals on their app. So they're somewhat successful in doing what they do. I'm still getting a lot of messages from people that are running for office. Well, my son went to the Air Force Academy, and he graduated. Yeah, he's now lieutenant colonel in the Air Force, and he's going to be coming to Tucson next month. He's going to be moving to Tucson. I haven't really spent any time with him. He's been overseas for probably a decade. He's been all over the place, but they stationed him in Tucson. So I don't know if he applied. I doubt that he applied for that. I don't know. I don't know if that's a coincidence. Maybe it's not. Maybe he did. I haven't asked him directly. The U.S. Naval Academy is reinstating a grooming standard for female students because they can identify what a female is over at that academy. They know their hair has to be cut no longer than chin length. I didn't know it changed. It's returning to a grooming standard that last instituted before the 2018 school announcement. So incoming students into the academy, females into the academy, they have to sit down for a haircut also. You've probably seen movies or something when people enlist in the military or go to the academy. It's the same thing. They have to sit in a chair and they get a fresh haircut. In fact, everybody gets the same haircut. They just cut everything. It's all gone. Yeah, it's not very much a stylish cut. It's very easy to maintain cut. Girls don't get that. They just get it cut to where their hair is no longer than their chin now. But in 2018, the school announced that incoming students for the class of 22 would no longer have to comply with a decades-old requirement, and that they just had to comply with Navy policy because you're in the Navy, even if you're in boot camp, I guess, at that point. But that's now changed, and I'll get to the Navy policy. But the Academy spokesperson said returning to a short haircut for women on I Day, and that's induction day is what they call I Day, aligns them once again to a common standard plebes have maintained for generations. They clarify that the old norm was to ensure that male and female plebes share the same visible symbol of their commitment to naval service and to the team. Yeah, they all look the same. Every haircut's the same. Yeah. I visited my son when he was a plebe. This is brand new. I don't know if they called them plebes. Not in the Air Force Academy. I can't remember, but they may. I don't remember. But you could see them. They looked the same, and they weren't like upperclassmen. They had to walk a different way. They were not relaxed. They were always on the go. They had to double time it everywhere they went. They could only use certain sidewalks, not other sidewalks. I mean, it was kind of it was a real induction. It was a change from being away from a civilian. Current Navy policy, though, once you're in, stipulates that female service members must present their hair in a professional military appearance that does not interfere with proper wearing of headgear, among other standards. And when the headgear is worn, the female service member's hair is not to be seen in front and must be maintained in a bun or a ponytail. Of course, if it's cut to your chin, I don't think a ponytail is going to happen. So you don't have to worry about it. See, it's so much. They're being nice to you. They took that responsibility away from you. Red State has banned the 4th of July. And that's something, not the 4th of July, baby. He banned the fireworks. A red state. So I was very interested why Utah would do that. Well, Governor Spencer Cox, he just issued it yesterday, a temporary statewide restriction on fireworks for the upcoming 4th of July holiday. But it's historic and extraordinary wildfire conditions across the state. So that makes sense. He signed an executive order declaring a state of emergency, temporary suspension of state law to allow state forest to ban the discharge of fireworks within municipal boundaries between July 2nd and July 5th. 94% of Utah is facing severe or extreme drought. The state has already seen 354 wildfires, and it has burned 142,000 acres approximately. And more than 75% of the wildfires having been caused by humans. I think that's always the case, isn't it? Accidental, hopefully, not intentional, but those happen also. Local municipal leaders are working alongside with their fire chiefs and are granting authority to designated specific safe areas where fireworks will be permitted. So there's an out. Yeah, if you have a municipal area that's going to take some, I guess, some responsibility and set aside something that can be contained, you'll still have that opportunity. And if a local leader does not designate it, then they have to conform to the state forester's closure, and they will remain closed. Cox says nothing about this decision was easy. Acknowledged that Utahns typically enjoy celebrating with pyrotechnics. This year's difference, we're seeing a fire behavior that even our most experienced firefighters say they've never witnessed before. Well, hopefully we get that El Nino moisture on the West Coast soon, the one that's promised, and it is promised. We do have an El Nino, and we're going to get apparently a very wet response from that, but it won't be for a while. I mean, it's going to come at our normal times. Right now, we're still a little dry, although I've seen a lot more clouds around Yuma than normal. At least I think I have. Let me know if you think I'm wrong. To deter preventable fires, the Utah Department of Public Safety is ramping up patrols on high-risk areas, and officials warn that sparking an illegal wildfire could lead to significant criminal and civil consequences. And there's been a lot of that in California where people have been caught, well, intentionally causing fires, and that could get you manslaughter charges. People die in some of those fires. Yeah, that's not good. Well, good for them making it safe. And keep in mind as we enter into this 4th of July Independence Day weekend, I think is it a weekend? We're going to have opportunities to do fireworks, but to be legal, yeah, it's going to be next Saturday. To be legal, they can't leave the ground. They can't be firecracked. They can't explode. Those kind of things. Of course, you'll see a lot of them. And if you call the police, they're going to ask you if you know who's doing it. And most people don't want to say. They don't want to say, well, it was my neighbor that Jones is down the street or something, and I've got pictures. They don't. Most of them don't. But the police are going to be asking you for it. They say, did you get a video? Did you get a picture? We need something to go on. If not, they're not going to do much. No, I mean, they have to have some of that. Democratic Party needs new leadership. Old models are not working. Now that's not according to Republicans. That's according to Senator Elisa Slotkin, a Democrat out of Michigan. She's saying, and I don't think she's alone. I think there's been criticism of both parties, but I think the Democrat Party hasn't had a lot of wins, and they're sticking into the same rhetoric and the same policies that nobody really, I say nobody, most people aren't real wild about. their policies, open border was not a favorite policy amongst anybody, but they keep doing it. Um, the people want to have voter registration, voter. I mean, voter ID when you vote, citizenship proved, and like 85% of the people, they don't care. They keep sticking with it. They think saying Trump is bad is good enough, and it's been in some cases. I mean, you got Mandani, and now 3 of Mandani's picks have won. Also, socialist, communist type people. They're still winning, but Slotkin was on a show with Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith is a sports guy, but he's been engaged in the politics and stuff. Exciting guy. She said every day there's a debate within the party about the path forward. That's why I believe we need significant new leadership. The old models are no longer working, and that includes the Democrat Party. Democrats were soundly defeated in 2024. I was in a swing state. That's Michigan, by the way. And I won that same year. So to me, the lesson was simple. Democrats had too many priorities. They tried to make everyone happy and answer every question. When you prioritize everything, no one knows what you actually stand for. And I have a question, Slotkin, about, your policy of men in the boys in the girls' room. Is that trying to make everybody happy? Is that really what she believes? That that's trying to make everybody happy? The no signatures at voting, is that trying to make everybody happy when the polls say completely opposite? I don't think they're trying to make everybody happy. I think that's the problem. I think they don't care. They ignore, they snub the voters. They snub their constituents. I don't think they're trying to make everybody happy. She goes on, says, Donald Trump came in with one clear message. He says, I'm going to make your life more affordable. Well, see, Ms. Slotkin, that's going to make people happy, not your policies. And she believes, I guess she believes, at least she verbalizes that she thinks the Democrats trying to make everybody happy. I'm going to put more money in your pocket. This is what she's saying about Trump. I'm going to put more money in your pocket. He won because he kept message simple and focused on issues Americans care about most. Absolutely correct. America first. He stated it time and time again. He picked things that were essential, the ones that people cared about, and they had a high positive for him from all sides of the aisle. Most people want safety in their neighborhoods. Yeah, most people don't want boys in the girls' room. Most people want to do better success. Most people want smaller government. Most people want illegals stopped at the border, not coming in, fencing, all that kind of stuff. Most people want a strong military. But I don't see where she's going to promote all that. She says, we just need to show people that we care about, that what we care about is an economy where you work hard and play by the rules, you get ahead, and your kids do better. It sounds like a Republican ideal to me. And it's not a lot of specifics. Where you work hard and you play by the rules, you get ahead. Is it getting ahead financially or getting ahead promoted or what? Does that mean you're going to take less of the money in taxes? I don't think so. And what is it kids do better at? Better at being a transgender or better at doing in life and society and upward mobility and being a breadwinner? I think I would like to know the parameters she's really working around. What does she mean by do better? The National Committee Chair, Ken Martin, has sought to ease tension within the party. I didn't know they had that much. And he started that in February 25. So I can suggest a broader change in party leadership would be necessary to produce a meaningful shift. So a group of Democratic senators sought to replace Senator Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, which I've heard that before. I don't, and I guess that kind of talk is always around. I don't know how serious it is because they keep voting him back, just like John Thune. There's a lot of serious talk about having to replace him. But then I I read for other senators, Republican senators, would say that nobody wants to really replace him. He's doing a good job. So I don't know how much of that to believe. Now Chuck Schumer on his government shutdown is what they're upset about, which was not success. Well, something intrigued me about Saul. I wanted to look at her win. She was very proud of the fact that while Democrats were losing, I won mine. And she's in Michigan, so I wanted to look at her district and see where her district was, as far as is it a Democrat district or Republican district. And what I found out is that in Michigan, they do not register voters by party. Nope. You just vote as you just register as a voter, which is interesting. But they gave me an idea. They said that we can figure some of it out approximately, because when you go into the primary, you have to ask for a Democrat or a Republican primary. You have to ask for which one you're going to vote for. I guess you can flop around more quick. Well, you can't. You always can in any state. You just have to register. That's all. In her district, well, now she's a senator, but this is before she was a senator. When she was a representative, was 53% Democrat and 30% Republican by the primary breakdown. From the models, from what ballot they asked for. Independents were 16%. That's weird. Across the nation and across, I know Arizona, independents are the most popular. They're the biggest. But maybe they're all independent in Michigan, but when they ask for a ballot, they ask for, they ask for the party's ballot more often. I don't know. Is there an independent ballot? Maybe. But it's, oh no, the numbers I just gave you, that was for the whole state of Michigan, 53% Democrat, 30% Republican. Her district was pretty much a toss-up. But Michigan doesn't register by voters. I guess every state does it differently. I was unaware. I've lived in quite a few states, but every state I've lived in has always registered by party. Always registered by party. Ships are getting through the Strait of Hormuz. I tell you, if you listen to the news, off and on, it's going to confuse you, because the stories are so different depending on who writes. I mean, either it's working and the straits are open, or it's not working at all and the straits are closed. Depending on when you tune in and who's the newscaster, which is unsettling. That we don't really get straight answers. According to this article, and this was on Wednesday. I'm sorry, Thursday. Thursday, 70 vessels crossed the Strait of Hormuz on Thursday. Wednesday was 8. Now, remember, there was a ship that was shot at, and that caused kind of a panic and a slowdown, and Brent crude went up. Well, now Brent crude's back where it was. I mean, it's back down. It's 72.24 a barrel, and now the low has been 71.79. So right now it's at 72.24. So it's getting down near the 70 mark on the Brent crude. And when they had that panic, on the Iranians shot a drone at one of the ships, and it was a cargo ship. And the ship, I think, had already been through the straits, and it was on the other side. It was on the east side of Oman, and they shot the bridge. Nobody was injured, but the ship was damaged, but no threat of it sinking or anything. But it's not fun to get shot at, I don't think. And it put a chill on things. So it went down to 8 ships. It went through on Wednesday, and on Thursday it was back up to 70. And I assume we're back up. But the thing is so chaotic. like the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps keeps, it's every day, different opportunity to change the rules. I guess. The you see and 70 was the highest level since the conflict began the end of February. 109 vessels transiting the Strait of Hormuz from Saturday through Monday, which is good. The cargo that was hit by the Iranian drone, it was 7.5 nautical miles southeast of Oman. So it was already through the strait. No casualties, no environmental impacts. It was hit on the starboard side. Vessels are advised to transit with caution. That's according to the United Kingdom now. They put out some advice. Even though they haven't done much to help out, but the United Kingdom maritime trade operations, I guess, I see quite a bit where they write about conditions over there. Iran and Oman are gonna talk, I guess, today. Their ministers are going to get together. Now, keep in mind that while Iran is under this 60 days, and they've been active shooting at people. They've shot at Oman. They've shot at neighbors. United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait. They've been firing missiles at all their neighbors. So Oman wants to talk to them, and they're going to sit down and talk today. They want to define the future administration of the Strait of Hormuz. And those are the two players. Those are the two countries that have the pinch point at the Strait of Hormuz. Oman on the west side, and Iran on the east side of the strait. But what's there to talk about? I think the Strait of Hormuz has been international forever. It's 21 miles across, but the center part of it, and I don't know how wide that is, 4 to 6 miles or something, is considered international waters. There's no administration. But Iran wants an administration. They want to charge. They want to charge for it like it's a canal, like the Panama Canal or something, which canals do charge because there's a maintenance cost. You got to run the canals. You got to have a lot of personnel involved and all that kind of stuff. Well, Iran keeps saying they want to do the same thing, and they can't charge fees. So then they want to just charge. They can't charge a tariff. So then they say, okay, then we're going to just charge fees or maintenance or something. I don't know. They just keep making stuff up that they want to charge it for. And initially they were like a buck a barrel or something of oil, which was a couple $1,000,000 to get a tanker through there. Oman and Iran have reaffirmed their commitment to international law and toll-free safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz during talks with Muscat on Monday. Well, if they've already agreed to that, then why are they having this talk about the future administration of the Straits? It's like we speak a different language, which we do, but with a different understanding. It's very fluid, I guess. Interpretations continue to change. So Iran is not done. I don't think anybody expects it, including Trump. I don't think anybody expects him to be done. I don't think it's going to be easy. These 60 days is going to be, I think, a new opportunity every day to try to straighten something out. Now, one of the Iran negotiators, Ghalibaf, is Mohammed Ghalibaf. He's upset with the United States, Donald Trump, because Donald Trump has unfrozen Iranian assets, which of course upsets a lot of people. Some of the assets were unfrozen, so that they continue to exist. Keep in mind, there's still 80 million people there that trying to eat and all that kind of stuff. But they're going to freeze assets that would be used only to buy American crops for the benefit of the Iranian people. Well, Trump said Wednesday we will be releasing some of the money that is totally controlled by us and our to our farmers and ranchers for the purchase of corn, wheat, soybeans, and more. Food is desperately needed in Iran, and we will be purchasing it for them exclusively from the United States. Well, Galavoff is said America falsely claims our unfrozen assets will buy their agriculture. Interesting. The only crop we're harvesting is what you planted. Decades of mistrust. It's organic, abundant, and homegrown. But apparently the U.S. only exports GMO soybeans, broken promises, and trash talks. Wow. It's kind of like they're projecting like the Democrats. I mean, it's been 47 years of them waking up saying "Death to America" as a morning wake-up call. And they're saying that we're trash talking. And the broken promises, I mean, I don't think they've ever kept one, have they? It seems to be one of their negotiation tactics, which are supposed to be, they're classified as one of the better negotiators because they generally get what they want because they just wear you out. It's just continuous changing, continuous complaining. Oh, we didn't agree to that after they'd agreed to it. We'll see where it goes. We'll see if Trump could break that, but it's not done yet. I guarantee you that. Let's take a phone call. Good morning, Ted.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing this lovely Friday day?
I'm doing well. I like Fridays. I don't know why.
Fridays are okay. Fridays are okay, but I always had to work on the weekends. So
not a big deal for you then.
One day melted into the other, brother.
All right.
I had something that hit me in the head last night when I was watching Newsmax and all, and maybe you can help me understand it.
All right.
Remember the show Green Acres?
Of course.
Doesn't what's going on right now between Jeffries and Schumer and Trump and Melania, doesn't that remind you of Green Acres?
Not at all. Nobody's climbing a telephone pole to talk on the phone.
Give them time.
All right.
We have a very bad situation. I'm hoping everybody's been calling in. I haven't been cut off the line yet to the speaker's office, but I hope everybody's calling in about what's going on in New York and across this country.
What is it you would like everyone to call in about, Ted?
Islamophobia.
Okay.
Islam,
because
they're fighting it hard in Texas. Did you see some of the film on TV from New York where they were all out in the streets praising Allah?
Yep.
Well, everybody needs to remember this is not a religion. This is a cult. Islam is not a religion.
Okay.
It is a death call to the Americans and Jews.
Well, they do such a great job of hiding it, like screaming every morning, "Death to America," but they don't hide it.
Yeah, well, I just want everybody to keep calling in and just keep. They're asking for people to call in. You know what I mean? I've got them asking for it. Please call in. Please give us comments on how you feel about what's going on.
I just Googled, artificial intelligence and asked, is Islam a religion? And it says yes. Islam's the world's second largest.
It's a lie. That's a lie.
AI won't lie. AI doesn't lie to me.
Yeah.
Its followers, called Muslims, worship Allah, God, believe Muhammad is the final line of the prophets that included Adam, Abraham, Moses, and Jesus.
There you go.
Yeah.
Gee, it's Christianity in Judaism, not Islamic. Go back to the beginning. 12 tribes left Egypt.
That'd be like calling us not Christians, we're Jews.
Jews, Christians, whatever.
Okay.
Under God's eyes, it doesn't really matter one way or the other. Y'all better figure it out. That's what he was trying to tell.
But I agree with you on the nature of hostility from the Islamic culture. I mean, they promote it in some areas, not everywhere. I mean, we don't have that problem with Saudi Arabia. We don't have a problem with them. We have a good working relationship with the Saudis and other countries that are Islamic. I mean, we have Turkey that's Islamic and it's a member of NATO. Iran's a different story. Whole different deal. Did I lose you? Did you hang up on me, Ted? I think so. Or I lost him or something. Let me see. I still show him on the line. Somehow I lost connection on my phone. I mean my podcaster. It was not Ted. Ted did not hang up on me. Somehow my Bluetooth stopped working. I'll be darned. Ted's trying to call back, but I can't take it. Ted, don't call me. It won't do me any good to answer him until I get Bluetooth. I have a podcaster in here. It's called Rodecaster 2 Pro, and it has a Bluetooth to my cell phone, which I've got to get fixed because without it I can't take phone calls. But it was working fine until Ted broke it. We'll see what I can do. See if I can get that put back together. But for some reason, my podcaster just stopped. There, Ted's going to keep calling me until it can't connect for some reason. All right, I'm going to have to take a break and shut down that podcaster and reboot it. See what's going on. I'll be right back. This is Russ Clark with Mortgage One. This Russ. Ted. Well, obviously that didn't work, but I should have. Well, I have the Roadcaster for calls and audio hooked back up. We shall see briefly here. If that's all. I cannot. Well, I guess it is working now. It is working now. Well, let me give Ted a call back because he's not going to quit. I think I'm back. Mr. Ted, are you there?
That's low down, man. I know that game. I've been playing the radio for a long time.
That's right. That's right. I did
Hang up on me.
I did it all intentionally. Okay.
I heard you in the background. Yeah, what happened? What podcast?
Well, it actually disconnected from me.
Blame it on Japanese electronics.
No, I don't know what it was.
Yeah,
I had to reboot the podcaster, the Rode podcaster.
right.
We'll see.
Well, I shouldn't take up so much of your podcast time.
Oh, you and I completely agree on that.
Oh God. So, are you feeling okay?
Oh yeah,
that's the most important thing.
I'm good.
Oh, okay.
I'm good.
All right. I know you were down and out the other day from exhaustion or something.
I get going too much sometimes, and I hit hard. But yeah, I'm fine. Well, I think everybody around my office got sick. There was a lot of respiratory illness and stuff going around, and I know Chris did it. And for some reason, I didn't really get sick, but I just got tired. I slept all weekend pretty much.
Right.
Just
my brother was put in the hospital the other night, which freaked my mother out. If you can imagine her getting that call. And he works at one of the most highest volume restaurants in Tennessee at near Dollywood. He runs that restaurant.
Uh-huh.
And evidently, unfortunately, he's drinking sodas all day long while he's at work, and he's got, you know how the shifts are at a restaurant. You can ask Sean Hannity how that goes.
Sure.
But they got him in there. He had a seizure, and we've had a history of epilepsy in my family and whatever, who knows.
Okay.
But they couldn't really find anything, So I told him, look, man, just do me a favor. Stop drinking sodas. Get off the sodas, drink black coffee, whatever. Just stop consuming sodas.
Did he do it?
Huh?
Has he done it, or do you know?
Well, it's just a couple of days ago is when it happened.
Oh,
so
okay.
We'll have to see how long he can go on that addiction. But this put him in the stress and that, I'm pretty sure it put him in that hospital.
Well, I know there's been some studies, particularly on Diet Cokes, that that stuff's not good for you. And Dr. Joe's talked a lot about that. I mean, he's just adamant that that stuff's poison.
Oh, it is. I had an employer in Alexandria, Virginia, and I'm gonna tell you, all he did all day long was drink diet soda, Coke, I think it was, Pepsi or Coke. And you could tell the mood swings right from when he got that first blast of that crap at him.
It's caused a lot of
And then
problems.
when it started, and he'd walk around all day long with one of them in his work uniform pocket all day long. That bottle was in his right pocket all day long. And
not a
like
good
I
habit.
said, right, his four boys, they all drank sodas like crazy. They were just, remember I told you they tried to get my boat muddy? Remember that? Little hogs.
That's what boats are for, man. It's supposed to get them dirty and muddy. Go out and have a good time.
Excuse me, Russ. Let me come over to your new car and jump in there mud-ridden.
I think you'd have to clean it first before you made it muddy, so no one, I mean, someone would notice the difference. But yeah,
Not if I was his kids.
yeah.
So anyway, please, everybody, call the speaker's office. Call them all. Our local representatives, they're on hiatus or whatever. Nick's office told me they're gonna be on hiatus for a while and nobody talking. Blah,
Well,
blah. They
went
nothing.
sine
They're
die
doing
finally.
nothing.
Well, they finally got a break. I mean, they've been in office. I mean, the session went too long. And it's been commonplace anymore. They just wear each other out until, you know, we got to pass it today or nobody goes home ever. You know? Yeah.
No, I just, like I say, please, everybody call in. Just tell them what you think. Tell them that he's trying to straighten us out. And Mr. Haney is getting in the way.
Okay. Green Acres again. And
yep. Oh, hey man, media is a prediction of the future. There's been stuff over the years in media that almost predicted the future. Books, media.
Well, yeah, somebody's got to be right, but
it's Fahrenheit 451. It's coming. It'll come.
Oh gosh, no. But I think that I think the media is struggling and has been for a long time because they're losing influence, and they just seem to get more aggressive and nastier, more influence there is,
Juvenile.
It is. There's a lot of that
juvenile.
going around, and it's getting scary. I mean, it's resulted in a lot of violence. It's resulted in a lot of bad things. So.
Yeah, they have no ethics anymore. They don't understand what their words mean or can do to people's psyche.
They won't acknowledge it until Trump says something and they think he's causing something. But they don't look at themselves in the mirror.
No, because they're vampires and you don't see nothing in the mirror. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, let me get off here. Let somebody else call in and ream you.
Oh, good. I appreciate that, man. You take care.
I'll go back to my wall here. I'm trying to block out all the neighbors.
Okay, good. Let's see. All right, man.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. That was Miss Ted. Phone lines are open. Let me see. Representative Michael McCall out of Texas has skepticism about Vice President J.D. Vance Iran negotiations. And then I think that's fair, but I think it's like, why are you saying that stuff? Shouldn't we be like unified support or something? He says, we don't know what the final deal is. I think everybody agrees. We don't. I don't think Vance would disagree with that. But I think he's doing the right thing. He says, if you don't, anyway, he's got a purpose. If you don't reward them the first time and then hope they meet our conditions, well, that's what he's suggesting. And he thinks that because the president and J.D. Vance have released some of the funding to buy food, and he thinks that's rewarding them. And I get it. In World War II, we bombed everything and starved the population in order to get things done. I think that's been a way of war. It's not the way he's handling it right now. He's starving the military machine. But okay, well, but he thinks that's giving in too much. McCall does. He says Vance's effort to pursue peace in this region, but warned the U.S. must go in eyes wide open when dealing with Iran, which he's called a sponsor of terror. Everybody agrees with that, and I think everybody's eyes are wide open. And Vance reiterates all the time. I think they can't be trusted. But why? But that doesn't mean you stop. I think the president put him in a very challenging position. All true. And I think his race for the presidency will hinge on how he performs on Iran. Now, he has stated that's not coming into play for him. He's not even looking at that. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't, but I tend to believe him. Now, a lot of stuff has come up about, Hezbollah continuously, like Hezbollah is connected to Iran, much more so than I thought. I mean, they're a proxy and they're paying for it. But the way they talk about Hezbollah and the fear of Hezbollah, it's almost like they're Iranian citizens. They don't talk the same way about the Houthis or the Hamas in Gaza. They don't talk about that. It's Hezbollah. Don't do this to Hezbollah. I think the Hamas has jumped up and said about, like, we want to be included too in the ceasefire. The ceasefire is very good for us. We can rebuild, and all that stuff. And I haven't heard much about Hamas. I don't know, if there's things going on there, anything kinetic or not. I have no idea. But Iran seems to put Hezbollah above some of their own population. So there's something very strong between them that they want to hold on to Hezbollah. And that's a fear. I mean, we can't let that continue. And I think Israel realizes that they cannot allow these people to continue to exist on their border, building up for attacks on Israel, and just sit there and keep building up for attacks. And Israel's not going to keep putting up with it. Apparently on yesterday, they eliminated Hezbollah terrorists who posed a threat to the soldiers in southern Lebanon. Now, this is after they killed some Israeli soldiers. That doesn't get the news so much. What gets the news is the retaliation from Israel. The IDF said soldiers identified five. They identified 5 Hezbollah terrorists in the security zone in a separate incident. Troops spotted an armed Hezbollah terrorist who also spotted a threat, and they eliminated him. Military said troops remain active in that whole safe range and area, and will continue working to prevent Hezbollah terrorists from operating there or existing underground tunnel networks. And for some reason, Iran doesn't like that. Like, we should let them keep attacking Israel and keep our hands off them. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Russ. How we doing?
We're doing well, sir. Good morning.
Look like we made it to another Friday.
We did. And I look forward to this weekend. I don't know why yet, but there's going to be a good reason.
And when you're retired, the weekends don't make any difference, right?
Well, I'm not retired, but
No.
but I don't think it makes any difference anyway. I mean, there's always stuff to do.
Yeah, always. I have more stuff to do now than I was working, but my 2 cents for the day is, and this goes out for all my great Republican people.
Uh-huh.
We can go down there and vote now, and it's across the street from our new building we have downtown, that 3-story building. You can walk right in there and vote, and make sure we keep Arizona red.
Right,
So,
right, and it's highly suggested. I want you to do it. Everybody should be down there and getting that done. Get in there and vote. That way you don't forget, and we can start counting up the votes and find out where everybody stands. It's good.
Yeah.
And when I say
Yeah,
count the
you go
votes,
down
we don't know who you vote for. We just know who's voted. That's all.
we don't, as an American citizens, I don't really care who you vote for, but you need to go down and vote, because that's what makes America so great again, is because the people are in charge. The government not is in charge.
Right.
If the Democrats win, the government, it won't be long until the government will be running our country and telling us what to do.
Yeah.
But go down, and you can also go down, and Miss Ruth is down there working the front desk.
Oh, she is. Oh, that's right. She works for him now.
Yeah.
She did. She took it. That's great. She's a great lady. Yeah. She's done a lot of good work.
Very great. And I was a poll watcher yesterday morning, and it's very hard for me to sit down and not say nothing for 3 hours.
That's why I don't do that job, man. I'm not cut out for that.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to do.
Yeah.
So every once in a while, you have to get up and go in the bathroom and talk to the mirror, and then you get that done. But you just sit in there and watch and make sure they're playing the game fair. And that's what they were doing yesterday.
Oh, I don't think you're going to get any trouble on this. The regular event, if they're going to do something, it's going to be on voting day when it gets hectic. But right now, it's probably pretty peaceful, pretty boring.
Well, the Democrats are doing it right now, and it's called early ballots. That's where they're cheating on that. So,
yeah.
But I think that's my opinion, because watching what's been going on for so long is how the Democrats will cheat, and they use the early ballot to do it. And the American people, in my opinion, are too damn lazy to say, well, hey, let's just go down and have. Well, the best way to do is you have 30 days to go vote, and that's very easy to do. and just cut out the mail-in ballots. Certain people need mail-in ballots, and that's fine with me.
Sure.
But to me, I get a mail-in ballot, but I really don't need one. I do it because it's convenient. I can sit there on my kitchen table and fill it out, take it down and drop it in the box. I don't put it in the mailbox, but I take it downtown.
Uh-huh.
But to me, it's just easier for me to sit there and tally, and we fill it out, and then take and drop it off.
Have you turned yours in?
No,
Okay. Well, the sooner the better, because that way they can process it
no.
and they don't get behind, and we get our numbers sooner.
Well, I got mine yesterday, and
Oh, okay.
we got it all filled out. And then I'll be probably Monday morning. I'll take it down, drop it off, and then I get to go in and say hi to Ruth.
Yeah.
As somebody walk in there, you can talk, but if you're a poll watcher, you can't talk to anybody. So, but it's really important, as an American citizen, let's stick up for our rights and go down and vote. Don't what people do, they'll wait and not go vote and then bitch who didn't win. Their candidate didn't win.
Right.
So anyway, that's my 2 cents for the whole week, Russ.
Thank you, sir.
American people, go down and vote. Keep America great. Bye.
Absolutely. Bye-bye. That was Mr. Carl, which we appreciate him. I didn't know he was a poll watcher. That's good. And yes, you can't talk. I talked to Helen about that before, my lovely wife, and she liked being a poll watcher. She hated not talking. That was not easy to not talk. Sebastian Gorka, if you know him, he's a spokesperson, a newscast guy, English guy. He said, "We are back in the business of counterterrorism." What he says. He says Donald Trump has restored U.S. terrorism efforts. Counterterrorism. He says U.S. forces have killed more than 1,050 jihadists globally over the past 17 months, and that 106 Americans held hostage or wrongfully detained have been brought home under Trump. And he was asked during an interview if he believes that Iranian regime will abandon its nuclear ambition, and whether sanctions relief can be used to finance terror groups and proxies such as Hezbollah. And he pointed to Trump's willingness to use pressure. He said, "My guarantee, and the guarantee for the American people, is that you have a commander-in-chief who's serious in the Oval Office, who literally wrote the book, The Art of the Deal." And he described Iran as the largest state sponsor of terrorism, which I think everyone agrees with. And most serious threats in the Middle East and beyond are tied to Tehran's support for military groups like Hezbollah, which seems to be their favorite. U.S. and Israel have shown that they can degrade and crush Iran-backed threats, which they've done. They've degraded it and crushed the Navy, Air Force, and degraded it and crushed some of their early warning systems and radars. And but Iran is still, so stuck in their, and I say Iran, the leadership in Iran right now is so stuck in their jihadist type attitude. They're not going to drop it. They're going to keep that up to the last man. They're not like Venezuela. They don't care about life. Let's take a call from Gilbert. Good morning, Gilbert.
I heard you saying that Iran's capability of firing is done with, and we just fleed them, we tore them down.
No, I did not say that. Neither did Gorka. He said it's been degraded. I said and crushed. I said, well, the ones that were crushed were the Navy and the Air Force. The others have been degraded.
Well, didn't they just shoot a cargo ship yesterday?
Well, they sent out a drone. So yeah, they hit him with a drone. Uh-huh.
Yeah, they hit him with a drone. They hit him. But what I'm getting at, I want to see how long it's going to take for our commander in chief to do something. To me, again, they're doing in your face BS.
Oh, without question.
And again, there's peace talks.
Without question.
The table, you talk, yada yada yada, and then they do this.
It seems surreal. It does. It seems surreal.
I don't know how you feel, but they're making a mockery of our commander in chief and our military.
I don't feel the same way. I'm curious as I'm watching it, Gilbert, like you, like what is what is the trigger? I mean, was that a rogue? Was that done by the everybody, or what was it? But he's trying to avoid that, and he's seeing something that you and I don't see, that this thing has still got the opportunity to hit out in a better way. But I can't say I know for sure, Gilbert. I don't.
You know, like you, if someone tried the smack Helen and you told them, hey, you better stop it, dude, and they tried it again, how many times you can say or?
I don't
before
think
you do that?
I don't think it would take even one. But yeah,
Well, that's what I'm getting.
but that's a whole.
That's what I'm.
I think that's a different deal. But I mean, you're talking about a large country with 80 million people. But
Well, I'm talking about our great military that we have, and the fact that we have an American citizens backing that military.
there's no question that we got the military that can completely wipe out life in Iran. They can.
Yeah,
They can knock it to the
well,
Stone Ages if they wanted to.
I think we have the capability with Israel that we can pinpoint our targets and get rid of these people. I really do. Israel showed that they can do it.
Well, they did it with the Leadership 1 and Leadership 2, and now Leadership 3's in there. I mean, this ideologue, I mean, you'd have to literally kill every single one of them the way you're talking. I mean, it would have to be every single one.
Yeah.
And that's going to be near impossible because it's always going to survive somewhat.
Right.
I
But
think Trump's
think
trying to go a different
they're-
way.
I think their people are tired of it too. I mean, they were dancing in the streets not too long ago. Of course, they put a kibosh to that.
You mean the
because-
Iranian population?
Yeah.
Yes, you're
Yes.
exactly right. And I think that's the hope that Trump has been looking for, is that there's going to be an overthrow and that the neighbors will go in and help. And he's looking for Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and those guys,
Yeah.
and UAE.
Yeah. You made a statement earlier. Why is Qatar doing that? They already had talks, and for them to say, you know what? Like I said, it's they putting out in your face, and I'm tired of it.
Oh.
I am tired of it. I just don't want no American soldier or airman to get killed. Then we do something. You know what I mean?
I do
That's-
understand. And there's been 13 that have died in this whole thing since the start of it, which is unfortunate.
Oh,
but-
how about the 172 Marines that were killed back in the day?
Oh, you mean Beirut?
Yeah, Beirut.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they're all involved, right?
That was back in the 80s, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I was working at
I-
IPG, and we took care of them people. Didn't
I
we?
agree with you. That was all Iran. I mean, Iran's been at war with us for 47 years.
Right, that's what I'm getting at. 47 years of this BS.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a warmonger by no chance. No way I'm a warmonger. No way do I want people killed.
Yeah.
The people I want eliminated are the ones that are causing this.
Mhm.
And we've seen by Israel what they can do. We have the same capabilities. But again, like I told you a couple of weeks ago, the problem with our commander in chief is a great man. He has too many, he's fighting in too many fronts. We got one here in the United States. I know he's thinking about what's going on in New Jersey and New York.
Right.
You know, I know that. Now look at Texas, of all places. Texas, they're dealing with these people in Texas. Well, then again, where did a lot of them come from? They came in through the Mexican border.
Well, he's got a lot of leadership throughout. I mean,
Yes,
he's got
yes,
a
he
lot of
does.
people handling things. So there's things happening
Yeah.
every day all over the country and the world.
You know, and the bottom line, like Carl was saying, if America doesn't get together and fight this, and the American people, because we need to have the support of the American people to help Texas out. The people in Texas need to revolt against what's going on. Them themselves, you got to take care of yourselves first.
Yeah.
If it ever happens in Arizona, I hope we do the same thing. We band together, say, not here.
There's a lot of people in the United States today that would like to see failure because Trump's name's tied to it. So
You're right.
we can't
Absolutely
forget
right.
that there's people that want to tear up the reflecting pool and tear down government agencies, whatever they can do to make Trump look bad for political reasons. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, and a lot of it is because what Trump says and does.
Yeah.
And all he does is gives people ammunition to talk, to spill the hate.
Is that how you see it? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And look at Acosta, what he said yesterday. He was being interviewed that he was at the reflecting pool, and this is what he saw, blah, 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 blah. He was going on with this other lady, and she goes, oh, did you know there were ducks that were being killed, died in the pool?
Oh,
So
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Is that from chemicals that were infused into it or something?
That's what they're saying. Yeah, that's what they're trying to say. I think she made up this whole story
I have no
because
idea.
there was no evidence. There was no evidence, but the fact that they have a platform, look at the view of the platform the View has and how they spew. And I don't listen to the View. I just see the excerpts that Fox brings out. Jesse Water brought out some of them, just laughing, and these people really believe that. And again, our commander in chief gives them ammunition to spew their hate.
Wow.
And a lot of it, he's joking. There's no doubt about it. But they use it. And Acosta, and what's that? Don Lemon?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was talking trash too. But again, this is America.
Yeah, but you're not going to stop the Don Lemons, the Joy Reids, and many others
No,
that do that.
They
I mean,
make money off
it's just part of the deal. And I just brought it up real quick, and there were 3 ducks they found floating over there
Mm-hmm.
that they
Yep.
don't know why. First I heard about it. I didn't know anything about the ducks.
I found a dead dove in my backyard this morning when I was looking at my bougainvilleas, and there was a sick dove on the other side of the fence. It happens,
Yeah,
you know.
it does. I mean, they do die.
They die. But again, the problem, what I see, all those people they live in big cities.
Well,
They don't have the wide open spaces that we have here. They don't have an ability to grow a garden or nothing. They are hamstringed by socialism because, what is it, 27% of the population is on food stamps in New York, or is that New
Oh,
Jersey?
gosh, more than that.
27%. Yeah, I'm probably wrong, but
Yeah.
that's why they do what they do, because like the reservations, they force the Indians to abide by government rules because they're feeding them and clothing them.
Yeah.
Now, are you going to fight against that? You want that taken away from you? Oh, heck no.
That's right. That's right. That's the key. They start counting on you for their survival, so they vote you back in. And that's why the Democrats want everybody to receive some welfare benefit.
And we have foreigners doing their jobs, because I wonder what the percentage is of people on welfare across the United States. Able-bodied men and women who are able to go out in the fields and work, but they get a paycheck. So we have to bring foreigners?
Way too many. And we have a lot of it's fraud, though. And they're finding that out now. They've cut off thousands and tens of thousands of people from the program, and nobody ever picks up a phone and complains. Like, wait a minute, something happened that was wrong. My benefits got cut off. They're not saying anything.
I had some humor yesterday listening to Purple Hair. What's her name from?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
She was complaining about the 30,000 children that were put in cages. Was it Trump or whomever it was? And the senator from Maine, I believe, I could be wrong. He says, how about the 330,000 kids that were missing? And she got upset that he counted her with that number.
Yeah. It's Rosa DeLauro.
Purple hair. That's what I call it.
Yeah,
Purple hair.
she looks terrible.
Yeah,
Sorry.
She does. I mean,
And if you watch any of her news conferences or anything, it's she's really not smart.
she's not.
No.
But she's reelected.
Yeah.
So what does it
She's
say
in
about the
Connecticut,
people that
by the way.
reelected?
You were close. Not
Okay,
Connecticut. Same neighborhood.
Yeah. So what does it tell you about the people that vote her in? I wonder what type of state voting they have there.
Well,
is it like California?
she's a Democrat, and if she left, they'd find another Democrat just like her. So it does do any good to get rid of her. She's a representative of the people voting there, or the people that own the voting machines. I don't know.
Exactly. All right, so I'm going to go back and
Thank you.
join my God's country. I'm out here being able to sit in my front yard, checking out my birds and people walking by, because I'm not in prison because of my political views.
Okay. Well, don't let your ducks die. Okay.
No. All right. Later.
All right, buddy. Bye bye. I didn't even know about the duck incident, but it's a real deal. And the Center for Biological Diversity is complaining about it. See, I lost the article here, but they're complaining about it. They think it was Trump's boondoggle. That's what they're calling it. The Center for Biological Diversity is calling it a boondoggle because he spent $14 million on that thing, and which Biden spent 50 million in today's money. It was like 34 million, but if you do it today's money, it's equivalent to 50 million. And of course, there's been sabotage on it. We don't know how much of it was created by that. But the duck thing, Center for Biological Diversity says that it's Trump's fault, and they want an investigation on the whole thing, because they said that the peroxide being poured in there was what killed the ducks. Well, the department there for the Parks and Recreation said, look, there's no way that would harm the ducks. It's a 12% solution, by the way, and it goes into 60 million or 6 million gallons of water. They say it's diluted so much, it's not going to affect the paint, it's not going to affect the ducks, but it will affect the algae, which it has. Apparently, algae's gone at this point. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
All right. I hope that was Gilbert, the last call, right?
Yes, it was Gilbert with the ducks.
Yeah, I hope he's still listening. I imagine he is, but he needs to calm the hell down. Do you remember a couple of years ago when I called in and told you that I blamed President Trump for losing the 2020 election, and we had basically an argument over the air?
Yeah.
You remember that conversation?
Of course.
Good for you, because I was mad, and I blamed him and his tweets.
Yes.
And, I matured a little since then? What is it, 6 years now?
Yeah. It's been a while.
And I used to accuse you of being Trump arrangement syndrome and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm not ever gonna like everything the man, Donald J. Trump, does. But President Trump, yeah, he is my president.
Yes. And you could still disagree with him on some stuff, and he can still be your president. Sure. Yeah, that's no problem.
Sure. But I mean, I support him. I don't necessarily like everything he's doing. I'm not, all the cards haven't been put on the table yet for this whole Iran thing. It's still ongoing and whatnot. But whether he was led by the hand, whether he was, deceived, manipulated, I don't know. But I do know them freaking Ayatollahs needed to, get blown to hell.
Yeah.
And the other thing Gilbert said was about sticking the finger to us, or snubbing their nose. Do you remember what exactly Gilbert said? Something like that a little while ago?
No.
Okay, he was talking about how Iran was snubbing us, or
yeah, and they do. I mean, they're arrogant little guys.
Yeah.
It's like the Monty Python thing. That night that had his legs chopped off and arms chopped off. He says, "It's just a scratch. I want to fight."
Yeah. There's a great meme going around Facebook that shows the dude with no arms, no legs, blood spurting out of his armholes. And he's looking up at the night. I guess it's King Richard, right?
Yeah.
He's looking up at him and saying, "I won!
Yes.
So
and there's always confusion about, well, how can they have a drone left if we decimated them? Well, we did decimate them. I mean, to take away everything we took away, let's say somebody came in and sank every single one of our Navy ships, knocked down all of our airplanes, and took out our radar towers where anybody could fly over undetected, but we still had, some troops on the ground and missiles and stuff, would we say we're decimated? Or would we say, no, it was just a scratch?
I don't know if we'd go for just a scratch, but we definitely wouldn't say we're decimated.
Oh my gosh, no. If we lost our Navy, lost our Air Force, we'd be a total different country. We'd have to rebuild. We would be vulnerable for the first time in my lifetime to be that kind of vulnerable.
Agreed. But I'm not sure if it was President Trump still in office that he'd admit to being decimated.
No, but we haven't lost a ship, even though Iran said they sunk the Lincoln twice. They sunk it. But
I know, and they just posted AI graphics of it.
Yeah, they posted a graphic of a B-2 that was crashed in Iran, but it was crashed, but it was still intact. Yeah.
Anyways, my other point for Carl, if he's still listening, is what the hell does he think having the funeral on the 4th of July is all about? If nothing more than giving us a middle finger. Not July 3rd, not the 11th if they needed it to be on a Saturday, not any Saturday since their original or their latest Ayatollah, the first round of bombing for this whole thing. They waited until July 4th to feel safe enough to put him in the ground.
Wow, maybe it's because they're patriotic now. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't think that distracts from our celebrations.
Well, I'm not saying that it distracts, but it's definitely giving us the middle finger.
No, well, I think they think it is, probably.
Yes.
They probably do.
They probably do.
They probably think, well, this will get them. This will show them. I don't think it does, but they think it does. And they think they think all their bluster makes some difference to us. I don't think it does. I think people see them for what they are. They've got a history. They know the culture. They know who they are. And it's been successful for them for 47 years. For 47 years, they've stayed the bully, and no one's and people are afraid, like, I don't want to mess with them. They're just a hornet's nest. Why would I mess with them? And they've lived on that,
Even President Trump is backing down at this point, and I understand why. I understand it's necessary. I support it. But what did they learn?
I think it's more of the art. I honestly think it's more the art of the deal. I think that he's going along, making them think they've won something. And at the same time, they're getting all their neighbors and everyone that's tired of them to take opportunities to say, we'll help you keep them under control. And right now within their country, there is civil unrest that could turn into all-out revolution. Could. I don't know if it will. But there's been cities taken over.
I think the IRGC, Ayatollahs, whoever, put the fear of God into the protesters, and thousands died, and they were all hoping President Trump was going to come in and protect them and save them, and he couldn't.
Well, that was before the initial strikes, and that was like 40,000 people, 30 to 40,000. Exactly. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying is why I don't think they're all excited to come out, and raise their heads above ground.
I can send you some footage. In fact, if you looked at there's a website out there called Tory. I could send you a link to it. He's from Iran. He's running, and he's from Iran. His parents live there still, and he gets a lot of footage of what's going on out there that you're not going to see on mainstream. But there is a lot of unrest in the country, and they're unafraid now. In fact, there's been many police departments burnt and stuff like that recently. There has been a switch, and it's scary, and women are running out without their hijab on or whatever. And that can get you a death sentence, man.
I understand, and maybe to a certain extent, there is more going on than I'm aware of. I get I'd say 95 to 99% of my written and read news from Facebook. So consider the source.
Sure. Oh, man. Yes. Yeah, no, I agree. Yes. You absolutely do have to consider the source.
And I no longer can drive around all day. I've got a day job now. Listen to podcasts.
That's too bad.
I used to listen to you in the morning, then Dan, then Sean, then Glenn, all day long.
Yeah.
And then I would download Jesse Kelly when I got home. It didn't come on until 8 p.m.
I don't know if it's good news for you or not, but AM 560 is moving along very well as far as being acquired. by Mortgage One Studios with Derek Egerberg. Nothing's signed yet. It still could go awry, but it's all on track. Contracts are on track. There's just still some conditioning things that needs to come forward, and
Sure.
it's happening. It's about
I
like
will
dealing
be
with
happy.
Iran. We're doing contracts with Iran.
And I will happily tune in wherever I can. But my point is,
Yeah,
between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m., it's not going to be near as much as it
Yeah.
used to be.
yeah. That's all right. I'll do it for you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, man. Bye-bye.
So I depend on you to read and listen and disseminate, and then tell me what my opinion needs to be.
That's what I'll do. I'll do my best. All right. Take care, man. Bye-bye.
Let you go.
Edward sent me some corrections here, as well as some just some additional information. One on the ducks and the birds. And according to the Department of the Interior, there are an average of 10 ducks who expire on or near the reflecting pool each year. So every year they find 10 ducks. There were 3 just floating. So that got the Center for Biological Diversity all upset. And they said they're blaming it on Trump, saying that was the hydrogen peroxide, which their Parks Department and everything said, what they're doing with the hydrogen peroxide will not affect the ducks. It's not poison. Hydrogen peroxide's not poison. It's a 12% solution that they were using, but it will affect the growth of the algae, and obviously it did. They're blaming it on the birds, and they want an investigation done. They want those birds taken and see what really killed them, which I think would be great. Gilbert texted real quickly. He said maybe somebody fed poison to the ducks. That's possible. Anything's possible with what's going on. Anything crazy is possible. And Gilbert said something about New York City, about 24% or so had it on food stamps. Actually, you were close. It was 20%. I thought it was more than that. That's food stamps or welfare or something, which is so high. 1 in 5 New York City residents. 1 in 5. That's just crazy. And then he could be a correction, but it's not a correction from Edward. It's a correction per the DNC, the Democratic National Committee. Senator Schumer and other ranking Democrats have stated that Trump has failed to make an impact on Iran and that Trump is desperate for a peace deal in order to keep Iran from sinking the U.S. Navy. Seriously? Has Chuck alluded to that or said that directly? I don't know, maybe. The Iranians, per AOC, are remaining peaceful, but will need to sink several U.S. Navy ships should Trump not agree that he has failed. Where are these people getting? Where is these Democrats getting this stuff? They're not watching the same stuff I'm watching, and maybe I'm watching the wrong stuff. If they've got some intel, let me know. I don't know where that actually comes from. Sinking the U.S. Navy would be a task. Sinking the U.S. Navy ships is not easy, and according to a lot of things I've read and I've seen some not actual live footage at all, but some replays on some of the attacks on how the U.S. Navy handled it. Just kind of amazing technology out there floating around, and the Iranians have a lot of amazing technology. You think that they're backward or something? No, I mean they get high praise from a lot of retired generals and stuff. Jack Keenan and others have said that they've got great capabilities thanks to Russia, thanks to China, and a lot of the latest tech has been over there to them, which we beat. We beat that tech, like the radar systems and the systems to detect, as well as the anti-aircraft missiles and stuff. Best and greatest went into Venezuela, as well as Iran, and we kind of knew how to beat it. Whatever that is. In fact, I was listening to reports from some of the military on Venezuela. There was a comment that you defeated it or you beat it or something like that, and his answer was curious. He said, "No, we didn't really. It works very well. We were just able to confuse it." And they were talking about the Chinese radar systems that were in Venezuela. They gave praise to the radar system, thought they were really great radar systems. but they had a great technical ability to get around it, to confuse it, to jam it up, whatever they did, and of course eventually destroy it. But they did not say it was junk. They commended it for being a very effective system against some other military may have worked out for them, which is great. Man, I don't know why. I've been in the gym all week, but I'm getting leg cramps. I have to keep standing up. The United Nations agency pauses Hormuz ship evacuation initiative after that vessel was attacked. That vessel was attacked, I guess, Thursday morning, and we know that very few went through. And I guess the United Nations agency, the International Maritime Organization, responsible for global shipping safety, temporarily pausing its vessel evacuation operation following the attack on the ship. And that's something it's a evacuation operation. They've been stranded, on the other side of that strait for some time and couldn't get out. But they did. That's why, I heard that only 8 ships got out on Thursday. I think they're back today. The price of Brent crude, came back down to about where it was before. In fact, it's down to 71.89. I think that's an all-time low since the start of the war. I think. I don't think it's been below that 71.89 in the last few months. As far as the close, no, that seems to be pretty much a low since the start of it. Of course, it was in the high 50s to 60s back in January, February, and all. So we're still. I mean, it looks like we're $12, $13 higher than it's normal right now, which is good. If we're near $70 and we were well over 120 for a short period. That's significant changes. Significant changes. Although I read a report the other day, just within the last week, that as Brent crude has been coming down from the highs of over 100 plus, a newspaper wrote, or one of the articles I read wrote that oil is still, I don't know, up, $20, $30 over what it was at the start of the war or something. They didn't give any acknowledgement that it's dropped at all. None. They just said it's up over the start of the war or whatever, which was interesting. And again, that goes back to that journalism where it's not that you're telling a lie, just not telling the whole truth. You're not telling the whole truth. That's what that's all about. But the United Nations agency has said, I have been informed of an attack on the Gulf of Oman on a vessel which passed through the Strait of Hormuz. This vessel did not transit under IMO's evacuation framework. I have always reiterated that the safety of the seafarers remains paramount. Therefore, to ensure a coordinated approach and navigational safety, the evacuation plan will be paused until further clarity is obtained. And it must be back on, or the Brent wouldn't be back down like it's doing. Brent crude wouldn't be back down like it is right now. They would that would continue because it's volatile, and these traders and everything, they're watching everything, and if something happens, they're going to be very quick. To change the pricing and everything. It is volatile. I've got a couple of calls I've got to make here in a little bit, but Kevin Thompson with the Corporation Commission and Nick Myers is going to be on the phone here in the next 5 minutes or so. I got to give him a call, which is good. I just got to make sure I got the number, which I do. Okay. The Nurk Leopold, he's a Navy commander, said he's a retired Navy commander. Talking about Iran, he said clearly we are trying to get these tolls put into place, which Iran's trying to pushing for fees and tolls to get through the Strait of Hormuz. That's exactly what it is. It's a violation of international law. It's an international waterway through the Strait of Hormuz. They do not have control of it. Trump administration is seeing that Iran cannot be trusted in negotiations. Well, good. I'm glad he's giving them credit. Whether it is the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the president, or the Ayatollah, anything they say and do has to be measured by actions. And there's a lot of retired military commanders and Jack Keane and other that talk a lot about there needs to be some kinetic activity going on. They're tired of Iran, just like Gilbert. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Just real quick, I know you're gotten other calls and things lined up, but I remembered the other thing I wanted to say about the middle finger Iran has given us.
Yes.
Dan Bongino told me about what he called the double barrel middle finger.
Oh,
That's flipping the bird with both hands.
yeah.
And you know what that'd be?
I don't know.
We need to keep an eye on the flight radar data of all the B-2s and the support aircraft and everything. The 2nd and 3rd of July. Keep an eye on where everything is.
Well, you mean so we don't have another 9/11 or something?
No, so we don't bomb their funeral.
Oh, bomb the funeral. Oh, okay, I misunderstood. I don't think we're gonna bomb the funeral.
I get that.
Yeah, that's
you
cool.
got less brain cells left than I do.
Probably, buddy. It's that hard life.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
I'm only 64. All right, I'll let you go.
Yeah, you're a young man. Take care. 64 is young. Vance points to Nixon. He brought up Nixon. He reflected on Richard Nixon's foreign policy and handling of Vietnam. Vance says it's one thing to tuck tail and run. It's another thing to clearly define an objective, to accomplish that objective, and then to ensure that you don't allow mission creep to transform a victory into a defeat. So Vance knows what he's dealing with. And he said, if one of the things I've seen with presidents of the United States, or this current president of the United States, last few weeks, and frankly, some of the criticism that we've got from some of our friends is they're constantly trying to change the mission that Donald Trump has set us to achieve. And he said, I think the reason why the president's been so successful is because he refuses to give in to that impulse. Good. And I know there was a mission, and I guess we need to not lose track of that, and just make sure that they don't have any nuclear capability and they stop killing their people. I think those are a couple things that he really pushed and did. So let me make a phone call to Nick Meyer, which I told him I would call him, and he might answer.
This Nick.
Hey, Nick, Russ Clark, you're on the air. How are you, buddy?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Now, is Kevin Thompson with you?
He is not.
Okay, so that's going to be a
Just me.
separate call altogether. And I know
Probably,
you,
yeah.
and I know you're both running for the Corporation Commission. In fact, you're current Corporation Commissioner.
Correct. I am actually the chairman of the commission.
Oh, so good. Then you can take all the heat for all the problems.
That's pretty much what happened, yeah.
Well, but now, how long have you been? This is your first term?
First term, yeah, 3.5 years.
3.5 years, and you want to go back again?
We do, yeah. Both of us do. We just have some unfinished business. It takes a while to get things done and done correctly. And 8 years is maybe not even enough then, but that's all we have. So.
Well, it's an ongoing thing, probably. We need to continue to have good people no matter what. But you've got some experience and some institutional knowledge now that you just didn't have 3.5 years ago.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, because you've been beat up. So, what would you consider some big accomplishments you've done in the last 3.5 years that you wanted to get done that happened?
Well, we've repealed the renewable energy standards and tariffs, so that's the Arizona version of the Green New Deal. We've gotten rid of a lot of the subsidies and mandates, things like the energy efficiency rules, the demand side management. These are just programs that were costing ratepayers additional money that the utilities didn't need to deal with. Those utilities are responsible for delivering reliable, electrons to your house.
Right.
And they don't need to be dealing with thermostats and shade trees and golf carts and all this other stuff that was going on. We've obviously left important programs in place. We cut just recently cut APS's DSM request. They were at 85 million, I believe. They were requesting 91 million a year, and we cut it down to 40 million and said that other 40 million needs to serve low and fixed income folks.
What is DSM request? What is DSM?
Demand side management. So that's the programs where they can control your thermostat in your house, and knock it down a couple of degrees, or water heaters or things of that nature.
Wow. I don't think I like that. It keeps your hands off my thermostat.
Yeah, well, we didn't either. Exactly. We didn't either.
I don't like that at all. And criticism. I mean, what's something that people are upset about APS, and no matter what, if they raise rates a penny, they're going to, people are going to notice. It's going to get noticed.
100%.
But there's been some pretty good boost in APS rates in the last 3.5 years, and I know that's something that you have to approve and something you have to dig through, and your process is to dig through the entire P&L, like where you're spending your money and where is your revenues coming from, and you do take a look at it all. Are we doing the best we can with APS?
Oh, 100% we are. So, a lot of people complain that a few years ago there were 8% increases. Well, I can tell you that those increases were caused by previous commissions, and the courts essentially ordered us that we have to deal with it. Okay. So yes, there were some recent increases, but those increases were meant to be done years ago, and they just got stuck in our lap. Now, the one that we really have a bite at the apple is the current APS rate case. They're asking for 14% right now.
Right.
I can tell you that they can ask for whatever they want, but we're going to take 12 to 18 months to go through an entire hearing process on every line item and verify that it's actually useful, reasonable, prudent, and I like to add gold-plated. If it's not gold-plated, and it's useful, reasonable, and prudent, then they generally will get to recover that.
Right, and I know your charge is to make sure those electrons keep traveling and that the business stays healthy, but
reliability is the first priority.
They keep in mind that they are a commodity that has to conform because it's a monopoly, and to be in a monopoly, they don't have complete freedom. They have to make sure it's good for the community, and that's your job to make sure that they stay within those guidelines, and not saying, well, we need to raise rates because we need to buy a new yacht for our weekend ventures.
That's right. Now, it is important to note, a lot of people are upset because the utilities make sometimes millions of dollars a year or hundreds of millions of dollars a year.
Yes, they do.
In profits. And that's a valid concern, but it's also an important part of the process, right? The utilities generally invest a lot of that money back into the utility. They have to have that investment in order to fix storms damage or transformers that fail or whatever the case may be. So there's the way this works is they get to earn a percentage of profit, or they have the opportunity to earn that percentage of profit. That doesn't mean that they're always going to make that much, and sometimes they have to use that back into the utility, which is why you need that.
Well, every business needs to make a profit, or you just end up going away. You don't exist anymore. I mean, you can't have a business without making a profit, and I know you have to keep them in business at the same time, keep them on their mission, as we see it as a community. We see their mission as
worse than high rates. Yeah, the only thing worse than high rates is not being able to pay rates at all because the business doesn't exist.
Right. And we need for it to exist, but to exist in what's good for us, not necessarily good for them. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow at times if you're APS.
Absolutely.
They'd like to give more benefits to their employees or something, but those have to be reasonable.
Well, of course they would.
Yeah, they have to be reasonable.
Of course, yeah.
There was I want to comment about artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence is requiring more power. I mean, these things suck up a lot of power. And of course, folks that deliver power want to deliver it to them too, because that's what they do for a living. But the infrastructure needs to be included, upgraded. And there's been some negative stuff that, Indiana, for one, Indiana has a lot of the data centers, and they've raised their rates hugely in the last 5 years in order to get infrastructure built up to be able to take care of that customer, because it's such a huge demand. It's a huge infrastructure investment, and the people that pay for that is everybody. It doesn't necessarily get. I mean, how do we get around that? And my understanding is one of the APS request was infrastructure, and then included we need AI infrastructure. That doesn't set well with a lot of people.
Yeah, so a couple of things to keep in mind. That what APS is requesting right now is money they spent years ago, 2, 3, 4 years ago. So it has nothing to do with data centers that are being developed right now. So that's a very important part to remember in this whole rate case. The other part is Arizona is a leader. It's actually a national leader in making growth pay for itself. So our policies, and we've been beating on utilities for years about this, is that large loads, not just data centers, but data centers included, if they come and they want 300 megawatts of power, well, that's an entire power plant in some cases. They're going to pay for that. And not only are they going to pay for that, they're going to pay for the substations and the transmission lines and the distribution lines and the transformers and all of the stuff that's required to serve that load. And what we're finding is not only are these big tech companies and large customers on board with that, but they're actually going above and beyond. So there was one we approved, Project Blue, down in Tucson, where the customer actually agreed to pay $40 million for about $20 to $25 million worth of infrastructure. And the rest of that money is going to go back to put downward pressure on everybody else's rates. So they're trying to be good players in this space, but it's our job to make sure we hold them to that.
Yeah, because we need you. They're a monopoly otherwise, and they would dictate to us
right.
exactly what goes on. But you feel comfortable that any data centers are going to pay their own way?
In Arizona, absolutely. As a matter of fact, Kevin and I have been traveling the country talking about how Arizona is doing it because people like that model. So we've been doing data centers for a long time. I'm not going to say that it's been 100% growth pace for growth mindset in the past years, but that's the way it is going forward. We're just basically doubling down on that concept.
What about the concept that data centers have to bring their own power? How does that look like? How do they bring their own power?
Oh, that's that's actually a great concept and one that we're working with. As a matter of fact, we just approved one a few months ago, just north of Luke Air Force Base, and they're bringing 700 megawatts of their own power to serve their data center. Now, the beauty of that, speaking of working with the community, is they only need about 500 megawatts. So that other 200 megawatts goes back into the grid to stabilize the grid for that area, and it's all paid for by the data center. So that bring their own power concept is something that we are definitely on board with and trying to make happen as best we can, because we like the idea of them bringing small modular reactors to power themselves.
So a small modular reactor, is that going to be nuclear, gas? What is that?
That's nuclear. Those are
really
small nuclear reactors.
You've already had those proposals in front of you.
We've had discussions about them. I don't know that we've had a proposal yet, but they are starting to be built around the country. And Arizona is open for business for that. If the data centers.
So we don't have any regulatory roadblocks that would stop that.
Not really. As a matter of fact, we just had our third nuclear workshop yesterday.
Okay.
And we're talking about what the problems are to bring it to Arizona, and really it's supply chain and workforce development. Those are the two big hiccups. So. There's business cases that have to be made for those data centers to come here and those tech companies to come here, but that's a different discussion. From a nuclear standpoint, we really don't have too many hurdles here in Arizona.
Something I've not heard much about is safety issues with these reactors. I'm old enough to have grown up during 3 Mile. In fact, I was close to 3 Mile Island when it was having problems. I lived in Delaware. And there was all this safety concerns about China syndrome and all that. We don't really hear any of that. Has that been put to bid? Most people are understanding that these pocket reactors have been around for many, many decades on like naval ships and stuff, and we've had them very successfully.
Yeah, they've been around for 60 years in our military, and people working literally inches or feet away from them. Yeah. And there's been not a single incident that I'm aware of on those in that 60 years. Small modular reactors, especially today's designs of them, are orders of magnitude safer than current designs, and current designs are extremely safe in the way that they're being implemented. You know, you just don't hear of too many nuclear meltdowns in areas where, you know, we like Palo Verde, for example.
Right.
It's a stable area. We have extreme safety that goes on, you know, multiple layers of safety. Well, small modular reactors are like 300 times safer than that. They have automatic self-protection in many cases, so they don't ever even have the ability to melt down. The fuel is designed differently, so it's all self-contained. There's just, you know, it takes that safety zone of 3 miles down to more like 3 acres.
Right. Well, and I actually went through 3 Mile Island. APS invited me through that years ago. I guess I was amazed at the security, amazed at all of that, as well as the backup safety to the backup safety to the backup safety and the backup generators that generate that. You know, it's just it's kind of a redundant, ridiculous backup. And safety was, every time I talked to anybody, it was safety first, safety first, safety first. We operate quickly because we're very safe.
That's right. You know, it's interesting to me at Palo Verde when they every year they have there are teams that are hired to just at random times try to break into Palo Verde.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Over the decades that it's been running, not one time have they been able to succeed.
You realize there's
safe.
snipers there. You don't want to mess around with that.
Oh yeah.
In fact, they told me,
yeah.
whatever you do, don't look like you're in a real hurry. Don't run or anything. Like,
that's
why?
right. You walk down the halls of that place, there's ballistic shields set up so they can battle anybody that comes down the hallways.
That's right. You know, but it felt friendly regardless. It just felt, you know, like they were security conscious and ready for anything that could happen.
Places in the country, probably.
Right. Yeah. Right. It looked like that. But you're saying even these pocket reactors would be very safe. And what about the opportunity for somebody that has bad intentions to steal or to break into? Are they always buried, or is buried something that they do? Or
I'm sure some of them can be buried. Many of them will just sit on the ground, but you know, there has to be security around it, right? It's still a nuclear facility. You're not gonna just leave it wide open, right? Like you would a substation. You don't just put a fence around it. There's going to be security team around it to make sure that things are all okay. But again, it's a nuclear reactor. It's not something that's going to be very easy to pick up and steal, right?
No.
You'd need specialized equipment. You'd need knowledge of how to even get to the fuel because they're encapsulated. It's a big deal but you're not. It's the average Joe isn't going to be able to just walk up and take it, if you will.
Well, and you know, unfortunately, the violence, the sabotage, hatred in this country has grown to the point where we have to make sure everything's protected. And of course, that would probably be a target more than the reflecting pool.
And that's why these passive safety systems are so important. If, you know, something does happen, there's some kind of missile attack or a drone attack or whatever, then it shuts down automatically. There's no active involvement needed to make sure these reactors are safe and self-contained.
Okay. And they would. So, and it sounds like you enjoy what you're doing, Nick.
Oh, I geek out on this. Kevin and I both geek out on this stuff. We find it a blast. We are engineers by trade, and this just tickles that engineer bone.
So now there's much more to the Corporation Commission than just this. Explain. I mean, all corporations have to file through the Corporation Commission.
Right. So 98% of what we do is regulate private utilities in the state. So that's obviously electricity we've been talking about. You've got 220-ish water companies throughout the state. You've got gas companies like Southwest Gas, got a couple of propane companies. But we also do, the other 2% encompasses things like securities regulations. So we like to say if Bernie Madoff were in Arizona, we'd be the prosecuting body for that. We also have railroad and pipeline safety. So car and a train collide, we're the investigative body for that. Gas pipeline explosions, we're the investigative body for that. We also do corporations filings, so we don't actually have any regulatory authority over the corporations, but we do file their paperwork. So a great big filing cabinet is basically what it is. And then, of course, some telecom still.
So if anybody has an LLC, the paperwork is held there at the Corporation Commission.
That's correct.
Yeah, and and that's, you can do a lot of that online anymore.
Yeah, we've actually made a few good updates to that lately. We now have the Arizona Business Connect, and the point of that is to make the process as easy as possible to file for new businesses, to file your annual updates, all of that good stuff. And it's been actually wildly successful. It came online in January of this year, and it's been a great tool. Where we're working with other agencies like the Secretary of State's office, because they hold trade name, the trade name database. So we're working with them to try to make sure that there's one system that people can go to start a business, for example, and it touches every organization that it needs to touch.
Well, I just got sent some paperwork on small modular reactor development projects. There's a lot of them in the works.
Oh, yeah. There are. There's quite a few of them all over the world, but even in the U.S.
Well, I'm looking at
Yeah.
Idaho, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Tennessee, a couple of them. Utah's got a few. Idaho has quite a few. Texas. I'm looking for
Washington,
Arizona.
yeah.
I don't see it yet. Washington State.
Yeah. Like I said, a lot of this is going to be up to the business case of the particular business. So, the one in Texas, for example, is a chemical company that's already established. So they're building that reactor next to their own facility. If we have a data center that's built here, maybe they bring their version here. For example, Google is partnering with Kairos just over in New Mexico, where they're building that reactor. But we've extended the offer, said, hey, if you want to put one here in Arizona, we're right across the border. We don't have a whole lot of nuclear industry here,
right?
At least not yet, but that's starting to change. But that's largely why you see them where they are.
Yeah, it looks like a few some are concentrated in some states. They seem to be very high on it, like Idaho. I thought they were potatoes.
Yeah, Idaho's got Idaho National Labs, though, is there, and they are the Department of Energy's kind of designated place for a lot of the nuclear development that goes on. So that's why you see a lot over there.
I've sat through some meetings with the Corporation Commission over the years, and it's a lot of legal stuff. Are you a lawyer also, or just an engineer?
No, I am not a lawyer. I'm just an engineer that has some background in this stuff. We are, though, established by the Constitution, and a lot of people like to classify us as the fourth branch of government. The reality is we operate very much like a judicial branch, probably more than anything else, but we also have rulemaking authority, and we're kind of a one-stop shop for a lot of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we have our own lawyers, we have our own hearing judges, we have our own police force, even in the securities division. So we kind of handle a lot of that stuff in-house, but primarily we kind of act more like a judicial body.
Yeah, and it does. It feels like it's a judicial body. It does when we sit down and listen to it as a novice. But how many employees are in the Corporation Commission?
We have something around 250 employees in total.
Okay.
So that's each division, right? We've got our securities division, our utilities division, our corporations division. That's all encompassing is about 250. I think the large majority of those, as I mentioned, we do mostly utilities regulation. So a large majority of that is in our utilities division. But yeah, it's around 250-ish people. And then, each commissioner's office also has a couple of policy advisors. So you asked if I was a lawyer. I am not, but my chief policy advisor is a lawyer.
Yeah.
So, I hire the expertise that I don't personally have.
That's good. You've got the expertise in engineering. That's got to be very helpful too. Yes. I know you get emails or texts or calls from voters and people in the communities, complaints. What's the number one hate mail that you get?
By far, it's the raising of rates, right?
Yeah.
Nobody likes their rates raised. And it's kind of funny. I've said that for a long time that this is the office where politicians go to die because you can never make a good vote. And the reason I say that is because utilities never come in for a rate decrease. So, and I say that tongue in cheek, but there is some truth to that.
Yeah.
But that's by far the biggest complaint we get is, we also get some things that are kind of misplaced, like, energy services agreement for the data center in Tucson. We got tons of hate for that one. But the reality is that energy service agreement was there to protect ratepayers. That was the whole intent of it, to protect residential and small commercial. But because we approved something that moved the data center forward, we get hate mail for it.
Right.
So it's a little bit on the misplaced side. We're trying to protect, and people don't want us to approve it.
It's complete anti-data center, no matter whether the word comes up. Then I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, that would it.
Yes.
Somebody's done a
And we
good
don't have
job.
any control over that data center.
Somebody's done a good job of really villainizing the term data center. I understand that 50% of all data centers proposed have either been delayed or canceled.
Yeah, there's a big negative stigma. And you know what? I have placed the blame largely on the data centers themselves.
Okay.
They have, for decades, they have lived in the shadows, and rightly so. I'm not going to say that this was a bad move on their part, but what they didn't do is they didn't spin up their PR department. They have virtually no PR department. And that is coming back to bite them in the rear right now, because this is where they need it. They need to get that public informed on what they do, and how they're going to make sure they're not putting pressure, they're not raising their utility rates, they're not using all of their water, and why they're so important to national security and your cat videos, right? And things of that nature. People want the services of the data center, they just don't want the data center.
Now, water seems to be one of the biggest touchy points, not only in Arizona, where we're in drought stricken, we've other parts of the country, and water on some of these modern designs isn't an issue, but I don't think it gets around to people. They don't understand it.
You're 100% correct, and we have made a very strong point to a lot of these large industrial that's coming to Arizona, including the data centers, that you're coming into a desert, and not only are you coming into a desert, but you're coming into a desert that is in a drought time. Right. We don't have the water that is needed to serve you as a data center, so you're going to have to do something different, and they took that to heart. So what they've done is they've designed those data centers more like the cooling system in your car. You put in the coolant and it recirculates forever. And yes, it takes a little more energy to run that, but that means they're not using the water. They may use a swimming pool's worth of water and replace it every 10 or 20 years.
Right. Well, and I was talking to somebody that they've designed a gel that actually goes in there. It's not even water. It's non-toxic gel.
Mm-hmm.
And it stays good for 8 years before they have to replace it. And then again, it's not caustic in any ways. But that stuff, if it works out, and that's still fairly new technology. It's been recently put out there. That's going to put that to bed. But I think data centers are so well hated that they're going to find another issue. In fact, I hear a lot of issues that just aren't true. Like they dump a lot of caustic material into the ground and stuff. I'm like, well, how?
No, they're sitting there. They're computers, right?
Yeah.
Computer dump caustic material on the ground.
Yeah.
It doesn't make much sense.
No. So I think there's so much out there. So in the next 4 years, Nick, what is on your plate that you think needs to be addressed?
Well, we need to continue doing what we've been doing. One of the things I've been highly active in the last couple of years or 3 years is developing a Western-wide day-ahead trading market for electricity. And this is one that competes with California's trading market. So it gets us away from California, which is a good thing.
Uh-huh.
But that takes a long time to develop an entire Western United States, energy trading market, as you can imagine.
Right.
So we've got some work to do there. We want to solidify a lot of the good things that we've done in rules. Rules take 3 years, 2.5, 3 years to repeal or put into place.
Wow.
So it takes a while. We want to make sure that we're solidifying as much as we can, for some longevity, and that just contributes to regulatory stability. These are all things that are needed to be to have a good regulatory environment for our utilities. So just there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and we're quite frankly we're just not done.
and you want to get it done. What regulation do you have over like gasoline? I know we get a lot of our gasoline out of California and some of that. Does that controlled by the Corporation Commission also?
That's actually a great discussion, and the answer is traditionally it has not been, but I've just recently opened a docket that I think it was last week actually, to explore whether we have any regulatory authority over new gasoline pipelines, because we do regulate pipeline safety. But there is a pipeline that's coming in from Texas
Right.
that's going to come into the Phoenix area. But unfortunately, they're talking about flipping that pipeline that comes from California. So now it would go from Phoenix to California instead of the other way around. Well, that doesn't work very well for Phoenix's economy, and we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to protect Phoenix's economy. And I'm not going to say that that's not going to happen, but we're looking into the fact that we may have some regulatory touch points there.
So you're talking about
The
a
answer
pipeline
is TBD.
a pipeline that wouldn't even have a drop point in Arizona. It would strictly all go to California.
Well, yeah. So the pipeline they're wanting to bring in is going to bring in about the same amount of fuel as the pipeline that goes out of Phoenix to California.
Oh,
So
okay.
literally, it's going to be a pass through. And unfortunately, what that would do is probably tie our gas prices to California gas prices. And that's no bueno either.
Yeah, we don't need that. I mean, the gas prices short the extra taxes, but still the gas prices are higher.
Right.
You know, I guess the best gas prices in Oklahoma right now. We need to do whatever they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
What about refineries? Are there anything on the books of refineries? And I mean, we have like I think one small one in Arizona.
Yeah, I don't have any answer for you on that one.
Okay.
Again, we don't have very many touch points with gasoline. So
Oh, okay. You haven't been much into that. I think I'd like that if you guys at least had your checking the pulse of the gas.
Well, yeah, I mean, as long as we have the right commission in there, if you get the wrong commission in there, that could be problematic. But
Well, that's a good point.
but I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, Nick, is there anything else you want to say to the voters before I move on?
You know, I'll just make the point that this is an exciting time in the energy industry. We are quite literally facing a digital revolution in this country. And the energy industry as a whole is just massively exploding. We built the grid in Arizona anyway. It took us about 120 years to build what we have now. We have to double or triple that in the next 10 years. That is a massive amount of growth. And like I said, it's just a very exciting time. And you want to make sure that you have experienced, knowledgeable people in there. And that's exactly what Kevin and I bring to the table on this. So we just want to make sure that we're doing this right, because the way things are done now will have an impact for generations into the future. So you want to make sure that we get this correct the first time. So hiring that experience is exactly what you need, and that's what we're looking for right now, and we would appreciate that support.
Nick, I appreciate all the time, man, and I'm sure I'll be hooking up with Kevin shortly, and we'll get him on also and see if everything you told me is correct. We'll double check you.
I'm pretty sure he will tell you the same thing, but that sounds good.
All right, thank you, sir. You take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, that was Nick Myers, current corporation commissioner, that is running because he'd like to go back to that torture. You know, sounds like he's enjoying his job like crazy. I like to hear that somebody's enjoying their job, and sounds like he can't wait to get back and do it. What he's self-described as a geek. Yeah, he's a little geeky, and he likes it. And we definitely need the geeks to do that kind of stuff in engineering. But very informative. I'm glad I had a chance to talk to him. So that was very good. See and the phone lines are open 928-941-0304. But the Trump administration is going in to help Venezuela. Venezuela, you may or may not know this, but they just had a couple really bad earthquakes back to back, a 7.2 and a 7.5. Both of them devastating, obviously, buildings falling down, people died. It's injured more than 940 people. They say at least 235 people have died in Venezuela. So the Trump administration has activated a government-wide humanitarian response. They've pledged $150 million in aid. They're deploying U.S. Navy warships to assist in life-saving rescue operations. I read this and I was just amazed at how much has changed under Trump with Venezuela. I mean, in years past, we'd have been shot at for getting that close. We wouldn't have been able to go near that country. And now, we're quick to go in and help out and give assistance with our response teams and everything. It looks like it's going to be the USS Fort Lauderdale. It's a floating command center. The USS Billings provide critical support close to shorelines and accelerate disaster response missions. It's also sending rotary wing aircraft, which provide critical life savings airlift transportation. Interesting that how much it's changed all of a sudden. We're going in there and we're being received apparently. The $150 in aid, which includes $50 million in a new bilateral award for relief partners on the ground, such as Samaritan's Purse, Catholic Reserves Relief Services, and World Vision, along with $100 million contributed to the United Nations Humanitarian Pooled Fund, which is good. Now, since that 2-hour war or 8-minute war, whatever it was that we had with Venezuela, that actually went in and picked up Maduro, the president, and his wife, and brought him back for justice to the United States. Everything's changed. The whole thing is like the landscape is just such opposite of Iran. In Iran, they did massive damage, 10 days of bombing, thousands of bombs. They destroyed capabilities, destroyed stuff, sank the Navy, with the exception of the small mosquito boats, they call them, or PT boats. A few of those still exist, but and they're still as arrogant and I don't have a scratch on me as ever. We picked up their president in a miraculous. There needs to be a movie about this. I want to see how they, I'd like to see that. We picked him up, and he was at a military base surrounded by military with some of the best equipment on earth to protect him. And he was thumbing his nose and daring President Trump to come in and try to take him. And then in just a couple hours, they had him on a helicopter and then to a jail in the United States. Kind of just surreal, crazy. And the whole country, is not our friends, and they didn't change, wanting to be communists at the leadership, but they said, we'll cooperate, we'll work with you, and we want to sell the oil and we want your help. Or they're at least receiving it, and at least the oil production has been way up. And I don't know the exact numbers, but I heard they were somewhere around 800,000 barrels a day, down from a peak of 8 million barrels a day years ago. And they've already got them up to like 1.2, 1.3 million barrels a day, so it's significant increases. And I know the infrastructure is real depleted, and there's a lot of work to be done to get them up to their potential. But apparently we've got people in there doing it that know how to do it. They stole all that from a lot of United States owned businesses, the oil companies. I mean, the oil companies put all their assets and everything in there, drilled wells, we're doing all the infrastructure, and the communist country just said, we're going to appropriate it. It belongs to the people, which means it belongs to the leaders. They want the money because the people didn't get it. They're starving. And it fell into disrepair. I mean, how are you going to pick up a phone and call these guys in here to come fix the equipment that they stole from you? It must be tough. I don't know. And they didn't have the expertise. They didn't have it for some reason, or they didn't want to. I have no idea how it did, but it just fell into disrepair. And I know the Trump administration brought the oil people in to talk about it. And they mentioned that it's going to, we lost billions of dollars when they stole it. And it would take billions more to get it back up to where it should be. But I guess they're willing to work as long as they can prove it's stable. And obviously they're doing something for them to have picked up the amount that they are now. And the Venezuelan people are getting the proceeds, or getting the money from it, which is just an amazing deal. It's not Iran. Iran is a whole different attitude, a whole different culture, a whole different I'd rather die than cooperate with you attitude. And unfortunately, there may come to that. They may come to where more people die because of that. They think that we don't have the courage to kill everybody. It's just a weird attitude. It's just totally different than the Venezuela, who's chose prosperity over death for ideology. Amazing. Schumer is warning the administration over the election records. This is odd. I mean, Chuck is kind of like the Ayatollah. I mean, he's not in power. He has limited power, I guess. And he acts like he's running things, I guess. And he does. He's the minority leader for the Democrats. But Chuck Schumer and apparently 24 other Democrats are pressing Trump to retain all election-related records, which sounds odd for a couple of reasons. When you're in the government business, you retain records. You just do. We know that hasn't been done. We know that from some current stuff with Michael Bolton and others, and I'll get to Michael Bolton in a little bit, but or Hillary Clinton that destroys records. So now they're telling Trump, don't you just, you better not destroy records. You better retain records. Well, by law, they're supposed to already. Well, why would they not? And it's a new letter, and it's to key agencies. It's from the Senate Democrats. It says the counter what they argue are potential efforts to interfere in the midterm elections. Well, what do you mean by interfere? Every political party out there does their best to promote their own ideals during these elections, but I don't know what interfere means. But Schumer and Alex Padilla, the Democrat out of California, also announced this week that they're launching a program to train Senate staff to be official election observers. Well, good. The more official election observers, the better. The Senate Democrats letter demands of top federal officials, including Homeland Security Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen, Acting DNI Bill Pulte, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, preserve all documents and communications on anything related to the upcoming election. Well, you don't have to demand it. It's my understanding that any official document, anything, is required to be kept. I don't know why they think that's a new innovation on the Democrat parts. They write that the American public deserve to have confidence that their leaders are acting in good faith in accordance with the law. You mean like Hillary Clinton? That actually was told and subpoenaed and all that, and then she destroyed all her records and smashed her phones with a hammer afterwards. I guess they've got to assume that's if that's what I would do, then they're going to do the same, which I hope is not the case. But Republicans push for Save America Act legislations in this, and Schumer's called that a radical. Save is one of President Donald Trump's highest priorities, and it's giving GOP leaders all kinds of problems. The voter ID and proof of citizenship bill faces likely insurmountable obstacles in the Senate. That's been proven true so far. It's within our own party, even, including united opposition from Democrats and GOP's opposition. Very limited GOP opposition, but it's there. And to gutting the filibuster. At the same time that you're saying this, Chuck, you've got multiple Democrats saying that as soon as they get power, they're going to kill the filibuster. You know that. I mean, it's public information. They come out saying they're going to kill the filibuster. And GOP says, well, we don't want to do it because it's traditional for the last 50 years or something. It's not an original idea. There was no filibuster. There was always in the Senate unlimited talk. They don't put a timer on you, which, many senators and even during the earlier in our history would take that time to talk for hours in order to tie up legislation from going forward. Senator Mark Warner, top Democrat on the Intelligence Committee, is leading the letter alongside Schumer and every Democrat ranking member on an election-related committee. Well, it sounds like they're trying to create a problem so they can fix it. The problem is that federal officials are not keeping their emails, and they want to make them keep them. Well, I think they're already doing that. I hope they are, because it's required. And I hope Chuck and all the others are doing it too. We will see. I don't know what that's all about, but I found that very interesting. Let me see. Edward had sent me about John Bolton. And I like it. Even wrote alert: John Bolton pleads guilty. John Bolton pleads guilty. He's a prominent critic of President Trump. True. I mean, he hated Trump. Trump put him on the payroll. But he once served as his national security advisor, pleaded guilty Friday to improperly retaining sensitive materials in diary-like entries after leaving the White House. And remember when John Bolton commented right after Mar-a-Lago raid about how sloppy and arrogant Trump is, and he thought that intelligence, stuff belonged to him, and I don't know, he's a bunch of nonsense about Trump and his bad habits and taking whatever he wanted to and all that. I think it was projection, John. I think it was projection. As a president, he was allowed a lot of that. I mean, it was not a problem, obviously. That's why those cases all got dropped. Bolton's 77 years old. He admitted to one count of retaining national defense information during a federal court hearing in Maryland. Significant victory for Trump and for the DOJ. It's indicted several of the president's political foes. I like that, the political foes. Yeah, they happen to be political foes, but they're criminal, really. And they didn't even have to make up crimes. These are crimes on the books. Some of those cases have fallen apart or remain pending. I don't know which ones, but Bolton's prosecution is the first result in a conviction. He has not yet been sentenced. The deal's terms include, came back to that. Some of those cases have fallen apart. I don't know which one's fallen apart, but a lot of the prosecutors and Jack Smith and some of the others that from Georgia and all that just went after Trump and lied, cheated, steal, and all that. I mean, they didn't fall. They're pending. They're still active. I don't know which one's fallen apart, but they used lawfare on Trump, and they should pay a price for that. Bolton's team is hoping he can avoid jail time entirely. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't have any legal advice on that. If you do, let me know. Now, this one I didn't quite understand, and it was election 26. Democrats are breaking into tribes as New York City Democrats tossed out ranking Hispanic caucus member. Yeah. The Representative Ariano Espelot, I don't know if that's how you say it, but in this week's primary toppled a powerful and history-making incumbent, sparking complex feelings for members of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, which he chairs. Representative Adelita Grijalva, a CHC member whose father, the late Raul Grijalva, also served alongside Espelot, called him a coalition builder who was able to do much for his district through his role through the House Appropriations Chair, in addition to chairing the CHC. So the Hispanic caucus member, I guess they had a big change. I'll have to look more into that. And he's the one that sent me about the pocket reactors, or the SMRs, small reactors. I didn't realize how many of them there were that are being right now under construction. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that are under construction right now. I guess I didn't know it moved that well, that far along. And the ones under construction, Idaho, Texas, Idaho, Utah, Tennessee. No, just one under Tennessee is under construction. But it looks like Idaho has 4 of them under construction right now. And then the ones that are planned, let me see, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 24, because it looks like 12 are planned for Washington State. Well, now I lost it. and then 25, 26, 27, 28, 28 to 31 that are planned right now. Is amazing. None of them in Arizona that are even at that point of planning. But just kind of surprising to me. I had no idea. Let's see, you got Michigan, Virginia, Texas, Washington State, North Carolina, Kansas, Wyoming, Tennessee again. Tennessee's going to get quite a few, it looks like. Texas, Idaho, Utah, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Idaho. Idaho seems to be the big one. And, Utah, just amazing. So I think that's good for us. Oh, I mentioned earlier there was a lot of Democrats when I said something about Chuck that would kill the filibuster right away, and they're campaigning on it. Edward actually gave me a list, which is nice. New Jersey, Cory Booker, Ed Markey out of Massachusetts, Ben Ray Lujan out of New Mexico, John Ossoff out of Georgia, Jeff Merkley out of Oregon, Abdul El Sayed out of Michigan. I know I saw another one recently, a newcomer that's running. I don't know. She's a candidate that said she would end the filibuster. I don't remember her name, but it was a candidate. It's a Democrat that's campaigning on it. It's yeah, but the conservatives, and I think the old school conservatives, they think they can hang on to it. They think they can stop the Democrats again, and I don't think so. I think they're naive. I think it's going to go away. All right, Edward sent me a drinking game. No, it's not a game. He sent me a drinking story. How to drink like a revolutionary. See, we got the 4th of July coming up, and it may be patriotic, so you need to pay attention to this. A lot of deals were done. In fact, I think the Marines were built in a tavern. Over a few drinks. That's how they came up with the Marines. That's pretty significant history. But even during revolutionary times, taverns were a big deal, taverns and pubs. And he gave me a list of some that still exist, either as museums or still operational, which is kind of nice. Now, you can't get to them from Arizona. I mean, you can get to them from Arizona. You can't be in Arizona. He mentioned some of them, the Black Horse Tavern and Pub, at least this article. It's 1742, when it was just a rural crossroads in New Jersey. I don't know why they called it the Garden State. It was still a colony back then, but it still exists. Tradition is long held that George Washington stayed at the inn while passing, and the tavern had, I guess it was an inn at the same time. It's a different deal. It wasn't just a pub. But the original structures remained. Original floorboards were repurposed as beams in one of the venue's rooms. Even details like the check presenters are made from on-site reclaimed wood. With focus on familiar comfort-driven pub fare, the menu features favors like chicken pot pie and 1742 burger. I would go. That would be a great 4th of July Independence Day celebration to just hit all these. Warren Tavern in Charleston, Massachusetts, near the Boston Battle for Bunker Hill Monument. Dr. Joseph Warren, one of the key players in Revolutionary American Revolution and a member of the Sons of Liberty, he was a physician and provided medical care for those injured in the Boston Massacre. And it's named after him. Warren summoned Paul Revere and William Dawes for their famous messenger ride to Lexington in 1775. And then he fought as a volunteer soldier in the Battle of Bunker Hill, where he was shot and killed in 1775. But this this Warren Tavern is his namesake in Massachusetts. So, God, that'd be a trip, but I'd like to go see it. This tavern came around 1780, one of the first buildings constructed after it was burnt down. The Charleston was burnt down by British forces. Upon Washington's death, the funeral speech for our first U.S. president was given here as well. Wow. Tavern was shuttered in the 60s, and the original structure remains. And I guess now you can get your clam chowder there on the Sons of Liberty Burger. The Griswold Inn in Connecticut, Essex Tech, Connecticut, 1776. Put it on your list. Purchased by the Paul family in 1995. Referred to as the Gris. Features a wine bar, tap room, historic dining area, seasonal patio dining. Famous sausage samplers. I'm getting lunch. I mean, I'm ready for lunch. France's Tavern. Manhattan's oldest building. This is New York, New York. Never heard of it. But exhibitions relating to the culture and history of the colonial American Revolutionary War with the early republic. Founded by tavern keeper Samuel Francis in 1762. And this establishment was a New York City hotbed of patriotic activity. The founding fathers met and dined here, and the New York Sons of Liberties held meeting here. After the war, General George Washington gave a farewell address to his officers at the tavern. Alexander Hamilton, Aaron Burr ate together here a week before that's the Weehawken duel. Yeah, that's fairly famous. Francis would sell the tavern, and the building became a boarding house. Saved by the wrecking ball by patriotic groups, restored to its original splendor. Consists of 8 rooms, 5 bars. Washington Room, the Bissell Dining Room, American Revolutionary War Private Isaac Bissell are used for the other events. Other areas include the Talmadge Room, the piano bar upstairs, the Whiskey Bar, Independence Bar, Lafayette's Hideout Bar. The White Horse Tavern in Newport, Rhode Island, oldest operating restaurant in the United States. Originally built as a 2-room residence for Francis Brinley in 1652. Yeah, it's older than what we think about. It was before the Constitution. It was converted into a tavern by 1673, and it still exists. For 2 centuries, the taverns, for the most part, remained in the Nicholas family. In 1776, Walter Nichols moved his family both out of the tavern in Newport amid the accompanying Haitian mercenaries and British troops. He returned when the war was over. 1950s, local preservation society stepped in, saved, restored the tavern. The dinner menu highlights contemporary Rhode Island cuisine, fresh fish, clams, and lobster harvested from the nearby bay, and seasoned produce and cheeses and meats. It's all good. Whiskey Rebellion and Trail is the best American history class ever. So it's a craft booze inspired tour, highlights the country's first unrest from back in 1791. It's Colonial Williamsburg, which I like Colonial Williamsburg. If you haven't been, it's an amazing reconstruction. I haven't been in many years, but when I lived in Delaware, we would go down there occasionally. The Virginia colony was built 1705 to 1780. It's got tons of period buildings and structures and all that. There's a lot of taverns, so you can run around there because that's what they did. They had a lot of taverns. There's a tavern called A Man Full of Trouble in Philadelphia. Shows a sign of a man carrying his wife on his back because he's full of trouble. Established in 1759. And then Middleton Tavern, Annapolis, Maryland, was bought in 1750 by Horatio Middleton, an innkeeper who ran a ferry service between the city and Maryland's eastern shore. And we see he has, and that's the last one. He was the longtime owner who passed away in 2021, who would give the venue its original name back, specializing in seafood and oysters. Tavern maintains its colonial era fireplaces, but all places change and adapt to the times. As their website notes, even before the American Revolution, Middletown Tavern was a popular gathering place for local gentry, seafarers, watermen, travelers to the colonial capital. It was known for excellent food, drink, music, games, and merriment. And so it still is today. Thank you, Edward, for that. Things to do on the 4th of July and tours to be had. I think you should. I would love to. If I'd spend a week and hit them all, if I could, I would take the time. Maybe I could take my microphone with me and just broadcast right from there. Interesting story about artificial intelligence. Nearly 1,000 actors, agents, and more signed an open letter against a major studio demanding child actors now allow their voices to be used for AI. Well, we all know that's coming. But of course, they're pushing back. The association this week condemning contract clauses that mandate children sign their voices over to be used by AI. And I guess, and I, there's a lot of shows out there that keep replaying and actors continue to get royalties on and all that. They own their voice. They own their what they look like, everything. And AI could change a lot of that. That we get an AI construct, use somebody's voice, and then it belongs to the studio. We can use it whenever we want. And apparently Hasbro was doing that with Peppa Pig. Peppa Pig, if you have kids, grandkids, they know what Peppa Pig is. Cartoon and everything. And quite often these talents, the actors play the cartoon characters. There has to be a voice associated with it. That's why you have guys like Eddie Murphy playing the donkey. And I'm sure he makes very good money on that. Now, if they could have gotten his voice signed over to them, AI, Donkey could be talking for the next 1,000 years, and Eddie potentially would get nothing. Like you sold me your voice. I got it. It's mine. I'm sure this could be working out in the courts for a long time. But this letter that the talent agents are put out that came out on Monday alleged major studio who owns the intellectual department for an international children's franchise producing a long-running animated television series, which is Peppa Pig, has demanded child voice actors agree to allow their voices to be used by AI to produce commercial assets within the franchise. For agents who protest the letter, alleged the studio has responded with an attitude of take it or leave it. Where the performer is a child, consent must be treated with the greatest care. Children cannot provide fully informed legal counsel, and a parent or guardian's approval should never be used as a blanket license to capture, clone, train, or reuse a child's voice indefinitely. So yeah, I guess they could use parents. They could get parents to sign off on it since they're minors, and that voice becomes the property, or a facsimile of that voice becomes the property of the studio. And I can see the big danger to the industry. Big dangers to the industry. They make money on their voices and stuff, and they don't want to sell it. And of course, these studios are against the competition out there, and a lot of competition out there is doing very well without using top of the line action. Look at The Chosen that's been done by gosh, I can't remember who did that now, but a lot of these projects that have been done that are huge projects. And they're not making the money because a lot of it's given away, but they're getting as many listeners, as many viewers and stuff, and on a shoestring compared to what studios charge. And they start becoming blockbusters, then I guess the competition's going to change things. Don't know. But they're already sending that letters out to cease and desist. I don't know if it's going to work. We'll see. AI is going to be taken over, and then we can have John Wayne make another movie. You never know. It's already time. I got to go get to work. It's Friday morning. Thanks for listening. This is Mortgage One Studios. I'm Russ Clark. Thanks. I will see you Monday morning.